Hi guys, I'm back. What's up? I had to update my video card driver and I went to family dinner and my body was too sore to keep walking again, so but I'll go in the morning. And but I did walk 5 miles today. I think that's good enough. And yeah, and so here we are. I'm gonna play some video games, gonna get on the Eve Online here and keep capping faction warfare. Okay, I'm just choosing stuff to play. I don't know. I'm just like looking at it.
Proud to admit that, but that's the truth. It is time for me to admit to something. I was wrong. Over the last year since I've opened this place up, I've had conversations with a lot of musicians. But little by little, I realized I had been making assumptions about them, okay? I didn't realize it at the time. Some were small, some were big, some changed the way I looked at metal altogether, and one changed the way I looked at interviewing, like completely different now. The first assumption that I had, that honestly I'm embarrassed to even admit this, but I had this picture in my head that like, if you're in a band that's playing for 10, 15, 20 years, okay? And it's a grind band or a slam or a beatdown band. I mean, just think about those names, right? If you were that in it for that long, I didn't think you could be anything other than a fucking psychopath, all right? I'm not proud to admit that, but that's the truth. I figured, like, if I'm seeing you one way on stage, man, that has gotta be how you are off stage. There ain't no way you're normal at all. I mean, just think about the names of some of the bands, right? That should tell you a lot right there. Or should it? Locator, okay, great example. Travis and Ethan. I'm listening to Travis talk about his kids.
Trying to build something for our families and then they're trying to just continue it on down the line. Once I pass away, they're going to continue putting my debts on my kids and this and that and everything. But I will defend people I love and I care about.
I didn't think he was a father. And then Ethan couldn't have been any more soft-spoken. Like, dare I say, he was kind and he had a really warm demeanor to him.
They're
People like us
musicians.
are usually the nicer people out of the crowd. You know what I mean? Like, I see it all the time. Like, people are apprehensive And then they realized they were just normal, nice people.
And then another band surprised me. More recently, Sacrificial Betrayal.
I took that inspiration, and then my two boys, Jason, Jack,
They're all like 50.
they're 9 and 7, so Legacy and Take Risk were written primarily to give them advice to go through life. Go into like a baseball
Look how it looks like conformity the way they dress now. It looks like conformity to me.
game or something like that, and they're getting all, I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter if you win or lose. It just matters how you are when you win and how you are when you lose.
So all of a sudden, this pattern started emerging, right? I'm talking to fathers, husbands, guys into philosophy and world history, guys writing songs for their kids so when they get older, they'll have something meaningful to listen to. These were not the people I'd built up in my imagination, man. They were just that. They were people, and fucking damn good people at that, man. I learned that afterward, and shit. But that wasn't even the biggest surprise, because after I got over the fact that these musicians were absolutely nothing like I'd imagined, another pattern started showing up. And this one honestly confused me for a while because it just wasn't registering. But I had been hearing musicians say the same thing, and I wondered about it. And like one day, it clicked, and I said, fuck it, I'm just gonna build up the nerve and ask these guys straight up. I was wondering, I was like, do some of these people care if they make it or not? Like, or are they just happy to play their instruments? So that's what I did, and I got an answer that I was not expecting.
I mean, it'd be great to be able to get paid to play so we could spend more time playing, of course. But I play because I love doing it, and that's just what we want to do all the time. And
They're all 50. Look, they're like 50.
Cool songs and write songs we want to hear.
So yeah, it probably sounds like a stupid question now, but in my head when I was starting to tinker around with this, I was like, wait a minute, do they just genuinely enjoy playing music? Because I thought if you're putting that much time into something, surely you're going after the fame and the recognition and the fucking drugs and all the access. But no, man, what I learned is that it just ain't like that. And then this is fucking crazy, okay? Somebody already at the height of fame, or at least riding along with it, told me that, if the rug was pulled out from underneath them, okay, if the fucking whole roof caved down and they couldn't ever get on another red carpet event or anything like that, they couldn't play Madison Square Garden, whatever it is, as long as they had their drums, man, whether it was in a hotel room or in a basement somewhere or just in their goddamn kitchen, they'd already won.
As long as I can play drums, I'm fucking happy, dude. Yeah, man, I'm lucky that it's what I do for a living. I'm very fucking blessed to do that, and I will continue to do that as long as I can. But if for some reason it was made to where you can't make money playing drums, that would not stop me from playing all day, every day. I will do it as every second I get to play drums, I'll be doing it. Like, musician's someone who has to play. It's not like, okay, I have to. It's like, no, you have no choice, but you have to because it's what you love to do. And it's just like someone who breathes air because you have to breathe air. It's like, I have to play drums. That's how I feel about drums, man. It's the fucking greatest thing in the world. Whoever the fuck invented drums, I owe them my life.
So after hearing that kind of thing over and over again, I can honestly say that changed the way I look at the musician, man. The true
Yep, that's how I view video games and music and writing and this stream.
fucking musician, And, if somebody's out there in the game chasing it for the fame and all that kind of stuff, that's fine. I ain't gonna knock anybody's hustle, practically ever. But it gave me a different way to see things. So that one, I can honestly say, totally shifted the way I looked at the musician, man. Whether it be the guy in a street corner or somebody in, a little place, the friggin' Fuzzy Cactus in Richmond, what's up, cool venue, or even at the friggin' Garden or Capitol Center or something like that. It doesn't matter, man. The musician is addicted to it. It is quite literally a compulsion where they have to create, they have to play, and fuck, man, that's really goddamn cool. However, even that giant revelation still wasn't the biggest thing that has affected me in here. See, when I started doing this, my mindset was a lot like other people that were like, hey, start a podcast, it'll be fun, bullshit with people about this, that, and the other thing, and that's what I thought. I figured, okay, musicians, they'll come in here, we'll talk about favorite albums, influences, trends, that kind of shit. But as I started spending more time, trying to get into the minds of some of these people, I became a little daring, right? I'm going to ask about feelings. I'm going to ask about motivations. However, not being ready to hear the answers that I was asking questions for, man. one interview in particular. Fuck.
You know, I mean, get a little emotional right now, but like it really is, dude. This is the only thing. Like, there's a spark when you've been knees deep into, you know, rock bottom of a substance. There's just, you need something to fill that void, and this gives me the energy and gives me that drive to get out.
So I'd like to think that in that moment I was able to hold my composure pretty well, but the truth of the matter is I was not ready to hear an answer like that, man. So I guess maybe if you look back, maybe you'd see my face being a little like, well, shit, you know, where do I go next? And all I knew how to do from that point was proceed, right? Regardless of what they were going to say or not, and that's what I did.
As me being a past drug addict, you know, and experimenting with drugs for a while and getting hooked on it, you know, I didn't have a way, and I didn't find a way, and then I found the metal community, and now I feel like I have a way, and I need other people to feel that way and understand that there is a community out there for you that will support you and be there for you, and we are a big part of that.
So yeah, dude, I guess the way I'd summarize this is that what I thought I'd signed up for turned out to not really be the case.
Methamphetamine.
Because after all, these were still humans, man. People with feelings and opinions and emotions and that kind of thing. Like, this ain't fucking Hollywood scripted, you know, pre-written narratives to follow or something. No, man, these people got nothing to hide. They're not at that level where they got to worry about PR, saying the wrong thing, saying something that's going to come across differently and, like, you know, wrestle people's jimmies, things like that. I hope somebody knows the reference. But yeah, man, so this has been, like, really big, and I feel good to have gotten this off my chest now. Truly do. Oh, and hey, fuck, before I forget, shout out Necrophiliac Yacht Club from New York. This is described as funeral groove, and I would agree with that completely. Like, if you like Steve Austin's voice and Today Is the Day, but the band doesn't really sound too close to Today Is the Day, like, kind of slide, just fucking check it out. Necrophiliac Yacht Club. So yeah, man, thanks for letting me spew, and I guess if you've ever been in a situation like this, like, let me know. And I swear to God, I'm not even trying to, like, you know, content farm or boost the friggin' engagement or some bullshit like that. I'm just trying to feel better, you know, and see if others out there, like, relate. Maybe you've made dickheaded assumptions or something like that. But that's the other thing, too. I can say this, right? Through all that, through any kind of assumption that I made or view I might have had beforehand, at no point in time would I ever judge any of these people, or am I the type of person to judge going forward, man? I'm just not like that, because I don't know what their stories are. I don't know what their stories are or were before walking in here, and I don't know what they're going to be like afterward. I hope afterward that if I can be any sort of if I can have any kind of like a positive effect or something, well, then fucking good. I'd like to be able to do that, but yeah, man, that's all I got. So, all right, headbangers, thanks for...
It was good. I don't think I'll come back, though.
And what if I told you the music industry spent the late 90s trying to turn a teenage prodigy into a pinup girl, only for her to look them in the eye on national TV and tell the entire world that their culture was total garbage? Fiona Apple is a walking, piano-playing open wound who treats fame like a persistent rash. She turned a nasty magazine headline into a 90-word album title, survived a blood-smeared dressing room courtesy of a rock star, and once effectively went to war with her own record label because they wouldn't let her be weird enough. Here's how the girl the industry thought was a criminal became the most respected outlier in pop history. Fiona doesn't waste time. She's banging on piano keys, writing songs by the age of 8. Most of us at the age of 8 were wondering what...
I love Fiona. I love my Fiona. She's my favorites. She's my favorites. I love my Fiona. She's top 10 top 10 of all time for me. When the Pawn Changed Our Lives
would be depending on what combination of crayons that we would eat. While the talent was there, so was the heavy stuff. Dealing with OCD, depression, anxiety early on. And then at age 12, things went dark. Essayed right outside her apartment in Harlem. And that kind of trauma doesn't just go away. It makes her feel like her own body's bait, a liability. She starts taking model mugging classes, which is basically learning how to beat the hell out of a guy in a padded suit while processing enough emotional damage to sink a battleship. By 94, she's a teen in LA, hands a demo tape to a friend who happens to babysit for a publicist, Catherine Schenker. Tape has songs on it like Never Is a Promise. Pretty heavy stuff for a kid. Catherine hears it, realizes it's definitely not boring, and passes it to Andy Slater at Sony. Andy hears the voice, thinks, okay, this girl's either a generational talent or she's got a really scary lawyer. And he signs her right up. 1996, titles drop. Basically, a
on my
teenage
neck, man.
diary set to moody piano music.
up at you.
People lose their
Ouch,
minds.
ouch, ouch,
Those
get your claws out of my
2.7
leg.
million copies in the U.S.
Damn it,
Triple
kitty.
platinum. For those of you not doing the math at home. The big hit, Criminal. Music video directed by Mark Romanek features Fiona looking incredibly thin, haunted and in the basement. Makes everybody watching feel like they need a shower and a therapy session. And the industry is totally thrilled. They got a new star, and she's just not cheap. So now the industry thinks they got a handle on it, and they put her on the Lilith Fair Tour in July of '97, which is basically the Olympics for women with acoustic guitars. But Fiona's not to sit around and sing campfire songs tight. She's got an edge that's about to sharpen into a razor. September 4th, 1997, MTV Video Music Awards. Fiona gets Best New Artist for Sleep to Dream. Walks up to the podium looking like a deer that just realized the headlights aren't a friendly greeting. Instead of thanking her dry cleaner, her agent, God, she goes rogue. Looks at the camera and tells everybody.
Everybody that's watching this world is both.
This world is
Tells the
bullshit.
kids at home not to model their lives after what celebrities think is cool or what they're
I
wearing.
agree.
Basically shows up to the industry's biggest party and says the cake is poisoned. A lot of cheers and a lot of people just blinking in confusion. And the press, they're like, well, she's a total brat. Spin Magazine runs
I like what he said about the cake is poisoned. The cake is poisoned.
cover story, November, with the headline, "She's been a bad, bad girl." And Fiona's not amused. Instead of writing a letter to the editor, she writes a 90-word poem about pawns and kings and how everyone's judging her. And then, because she's a glorious maniac, or soon to be an extraordinary machine, she decides that
Extraordinary machine.
that poem is going to be the entire title of her second album. And the title goes, when the pawn hits the conflicts, he thinks like a king. When he throws the blows, when he goes to the fight, and he'll win the whole thing before he enters the ring. There's nobody to batter when your mind is your might. So when you go solo, you hold your own hand, and remember that depth is the greatest of heights. And if you know where you stand, then you know where to land. And if you fall, it won't matter, because you'll know that you're right. Say that all in one breath, I dare you. But while she's dealing with the press, the rock stars are getting weird as well. December
I wish she didn't skip through it. I fucking love that song. That fucking. When the pawn hits the conflicts, he thinks. When the pawn hits the conflicts, he thinks like a king. What he knows throws the blows when he goes to the fight. It'll win the whole thing. For he enters the ring. There's no body to batter when your mind is your might. So when you go solo, you hold your own hand and remember that depth is the greatest of heights. And if you know where you stand, then you know where to land. And if you fall, it won't matter, because you'll know that you're right.
November 5th, 97, K-Rock Christmas concert. Dave Navarro, some know from Jane's Addiction, and RHCP for a little bit, decides to leave her a note. Doesn't use a post-it. Uses his own actual blood to write, "Have fun, love DN," on a dressing room wall. Claims he's just sharing the beauty and pain that flows from his heart. Fiona's wondering how to get the deposit back on the room, but the pace is starting to crack. She's been promoting Tidal for almost 2 years. In March of '98, she hits a wall and cancels the last 21 dates of her tour, citing personal family problems. This becomes a blueprint for a career. Show up, do something brilliant, get overwhelmed by the nonsense, disappear for 5 years. And by '99, she's dating director Paul Thomas Anderson. They're the
I can't believe that.
it couple for people who like moody cinematography, and feeling slightly uncomfortable. In November of that year, the album comes out with that insanely long title. It drops, goes platinum, proving that you can name an album after a paragraph or multiple paragraphs and still sell millions of records if the music is good enough. But the live shows are still a gamble. February 2000, Roseland Ballroom in New York. Sound system starts acting up. And for Fiona, that's the end of the world. She's a perfectionist, already hanging on by a thread. Starts apologizing profusely, gets distraught, eventually just walks off the stage. She can't do it. If it's not right, then damn it, she's not going to do it. After that, she retreats to work on a third album, Extraordinary Machine. Speaking of Extraordinary Machines, this channel, Guitar Meets Science on YouTube. I'm Guitar Meets Science. I made this video. And if it's on somebody else's TikTok or whatever, it's stolen, just so you know. But for this, she teams up with producer John Bryan. They spent 2002 and 2003 recording in Nashville, in LA, destined to be her masterpiece. But behind the scenes, things are getting messy. Sony is not happy with the direction. They want something they could sell to the kids who like Criminal. And this album is like completely out in left field. Starts off that real old school feel. It's a hell of a collection of songs and really showcases Fiona's voice and everything else she's capable of. But the label's just not digging the lush orchestral production and the whole change of vibe. So the album sits on a shelf. Sits and sits. Then 2004, the internet happens. MP3s of the Brian sessions start leaking online. This is back when leaks were accidental. And suddenly the whole world knows the album's finished and they love it. And this sparks the Free Fiona movement. Fans start protesting outside the Sony building, holding signs, mailing stuff. Specifically, they're mailing a lot of apples. Foam apples,
you,
pictures
Fiona.
of apples, actual apples. I haven't heard any reports of Apple computers, probably because they're, a bit on the expensive side. They think the big bad record label is holding the Queen hostage. The funny thing is, it turned out it wasn't the label. Fiona herself wasn't happy with the recording. She wanted to start over. So she brings in producer Mike Elizondo to re-record almost the entire thing. Takes a couple years. Total do-over. Imagine building a house, finishing it, deciding the foundation is 2 inches off.
That's art.
You just bulldoze the entire thing and start again from the dirt.
That's art, though. That's art, though. To you, it's nothing. You're making some statement. It's your art. You can produce more if you need to. I'm sorry, but that's art. I've definitely lost a lot of books in my lifetime. It damn near cost me my sanity, knowing that my life's work was just out there in anybody's hands. I've lost books. They're probably in the landfills, probably, honestly. They're probably long gone in landfills. But my books are gone.
That's Fiona Apple. The redo finally pays off.
I wrote books. I wrote, books of poetry, lyrics. 10 books, and they're all gone. So annoying. I used to buy open white artists albums.
Extraordinary Machine officially releases on October 3rd, 2005. Debuts at number 7 and goes gold. Fans are happy, label's relieved. Fiona can go back to being a hermit for a while. During this period, she dates writer Jonathan Ames and starts doing odd jobs, at least odd for a rock star. Covers Sally's song for Nightmare Before Christmas, tribute. Does a tribute for Elvis Costello. She's staying busy, but on her own terms. 2007, she decides to tour the East Coast, but she does it with Nickel Creek, a bluegrass folk band. They're very polite, very knit sweaters and tea. Fiona's not quite that. It's an odd pairing, but she's clearly done playing the pop star game. She wants to be around musicians who apparently just care about the notes. Then things get quiet, very quiet. For about 5 years, she basically disappears from the public eye. So Fiona heads back to the house and just gets to it.
Fiona,
Finally
we love you. We love you. It's hard being the queen, you know what I'm saying?
resurfaces in
Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
2012. Got a new album and a new reason for the police to know her name. On September 19, 2012, Sierra Blanca, Texas, tiny town on the border, exists primarily to bust famous people for drugs. Willie Nelson got busted there. Snoop Dogg got busted there. And now Fiona Apple. Border Patrol finds some hash on a tour bus. She gets arrested, spends the night in jail, and in true Fiona fashion, uses her next concert to tell the guards exactly what she thinks of them and their secret little lunchbox of confiscated goodies. But even with all this legal trouble, the music's still the priority, except when it isn't. Later that year, the Idler Wheel Tour, she's supposed to head to South America. cancels
Adler Wheel was a good
the whole
album.
leg. Why? Because their dog, Janet, is dying. Janet was a pit bull with Addison's disease and a tumor. So Fiona writes
Yeah, but I mean, if that's what you love, then you stop and you take care of the dog.
a long, heartbreaking letter to her fans explaining that she needs to be there for her dog's final days. And hey, some of us, we frickin' love our dogs.
Yeah, it's some of us are like that, motherfucker. Some of us are like that. Your dog dies. She's been there for 20 years. You can give her 5 months or whatever.
It's relatable. But yeah, she's choosing her dog over a stadium full of fans and a
I would too.
massive paycheck.
I think those fans would understand. I think that those sort of fans that she would want to keep, they would understand it.
By 2013, Fiona's settling into her role as the industry's resident enigma. Covers pure imagination for a Chipotle ad. Anytime I think of Chipotle, my pure imagination just immediately goes to how much I'm going to fill that toilet. But in 2014, she writes Container, the theme song for the TV show The Affair, popping up in unexpected places, usually making everything sound a little more depressing and a whole hell of a lot more beautiful. Sings on Andrew Bird's track Left-Handed Kisses in 2016, plays the Ohana Festival in 2017, dusting off songs that hadn't been heard in years. She's still got that fire from the VMAs. 2018, she joins Shirley Manson at the Girls' School Festival to sing You Don't Own Me. I covered Garbage in detail a while back. During the performance, she's got a white t-shirt with the words Neil, as in Kneel, Portnow, scrawled on it in black marker. Total shot at Neil Portnow, that's Neil, the head of the Grammys, who had said women need to step up, but they want to win more awards. Fiona's like, yeah, just get on your knees and apologize. Men 2020 hits. Pandemic. World shuts down. While everybody else is learning how to make sourdough, Fiona releases Fetch the Bolt Cutters. Recorded in her house in Venice Beach. Used the walls as
She lives in Venice fucking Beach?
percussion.
I wonder if she hangs out with Lana.
Let her dogs bark in the background. Totally raw and out there, and hailed as a masterpiece. In June of 2020, Bob Dylan releases his 17-minute song, Murder Most Foul. Then he gets Fiona Apple to play piano on that track. Bob Dylan. We're talking the same guy who was at a party, and Peter Grant walked up to him and shook his hand and said, "Hey, it's great to meet you. I'm the manager of Led Zeppelin." Bob Dylan looks up and says, "Don't come to me with your problems." So Fiona hasn't really totally disappeared. 2022, Amazon Prime drops Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, billion-dollar fantasy with an orchestra the size of a small country. And the end credits track to get Fiona Apple. Teams up
Really?
with
Fiona did
Beat
Rings of
McCreary to
Power?
record Where the Shadows Lie.
Bear
Built around
McCreary? Where the Shadows Lie is Fiona Apple?
Tolkien's ring verse poem, One Ring to Rule Them All. 2024, she shows up on a tribute album for Don Heffington, the beloved LA drummer who died of leukemia in 2021. Covers his song lightly, and it's under the radar, but again, you know, that's the whole point. She's just getting into the music. April 2025, covering Neil Young's Heart of Gold for tribute compilation. For tribute compilation. Boy, am I mucking up my words today. But it's benefiting a Young's Bridge school charity, nonprofit for kids with speech and physical challenges. May 2025
Fiona, I love you.
releases their first original song in 5 years, called Pretrial. No big social
wish I
media
could've met her.
strategy or album rollouts. Fiona's just still banging on things and making the comfortable feel uncomfortable, turning the world's noise into something that actually means something. Like, subscribe. Thank you.
Yeah, it was good. This was real good. It's over. The robots just lost the culture war. Less guitar meets science, huh? Hi, kitty. Hi, kitty. You beautiful kitty. Beautiful kitty. Yeah. Oh, it's such a wonderful kitty. Yeah, I love this kitty. Congresswoman adopted 55 children and turned them into killers.
Bada bing, bada boo.
Congresswoman Floor had a lot going for her in terms of voter appeal. So her whole identity, her whole branding to the general public was a politician's dream. She nailed every single demographic and hit back at every single objection there was. Sure, she's a woman, but Fleur de Lis, she wasn't a career-driven professional. She was maternal. She had 55 adopted children. 55. Her whole political campaign was for advocating for children's rights, and it just came naturally to her. People respected her for it. Fleur had a stable marriage to a pastor named Anderson, so she's got the relationship. They lived in a huge gated compound with like dozens of their adopted children. It's the perfect family. And additionally, Fleur herself, she was a pastor too. She had 6 mega churches. She held sermons every single Sunday without skipping a beat. And she's a gospel singer that sold over 10 million copies of her album. Someone that you would want to represent you. She's ballsy. She goes up against the local gangs. She's not scared to speak her mind and demand the government do the right thing. The only thing that's standing in the way of her career, it seemed, were these pesky rumors that just like would never quiet down. Rumors about how Congresswoman Fleur and her husband's life was interesting. Whispers about how the two had a very intense, intimate life, which is fine considering that they're, married and they have a family, right? What's the big deal? It was a lot darker than that. There were reports of people saying that the couple were spotted at clubs, swingers clubs specifically, where couples show up with masks and just start swapping partners while everybody, including their own husband and wives, they watch. And again, nobody is judging that, but when you're a congresswoman and a pastor, like these types of rumors, they're going to be taken a lot more seriously. It's rumored the couple were such frequent visitors of these clubs that they even had their own private room that they would go to and sometimes even bring their own friends that were influential people in the religious or political space. So the rumor is intense, but more sinister than that was the rumor that the couple would show up to these swingers clubs with their own adopted children. It's alleged that they were at one of these parties on June 16th, 2019. The congresswoman and her husband were out until about 4 in the morning. Security cameras show them pulling up into their gated compound, back home. They're getting back home from their little date. Anderson, the husband, is driving, and Congresswoman Fleur was in the passenger seat, relaxing, playing a mobile game called Pet Rescue. It's very similar to like Candy Crush. They pull into their gated home. Anderson parks the car and he tells his wife, "Hey, I think I'm gonna sit in the car real quick to finish up a few quick emails before heading in." I mean, I imagine that it's really hectic in their house with that many kids. So maybe this is the only quiet space that he has.
They live with 55 kids?
I think they live with like 30 at a time because a lot of them had grown up and moved out. And Fleur nodded. She slipped out of the passenger seat, slipped off her heels, and started walking into their house. She turned around before she closed the door behind her and looked at her husband and said, "Don't forget to close the gate." She smiled, went into the house, and beelined it for one of the kids' rooms. Earlier, when they were pulling into the house, she saw that one of the kids' lights was on. They have church tomorrow, and it's 4 in the morning. What are they doing still up? So she opens the door, and it's not even one of her adopted kids. It's her grandson, Ramon. So there's like multiple generations in this family. There's a lot going on. And she's scolding him, like, "What did I tell you about staying up late?" And all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. Rapid fire gunshots going off, and it sounds really, really, really close by. Back to back to back gunshots. Boom, boom, boom. The kids in the house, they all wake up from it. They're scrambling. Fleur is running downstairs screaming. 3 of the kids would run out of the house, and that's when they saw their father, Anderson, on the pavement with like 30 wounds to his body. He had been shot about 18 times.
Why is it 30 shots?
Sometimes the bullet will go in from the side and exit. So the exit wounds are considered wounds. And most of the wounds were focused on his private parts. There was a lot of blood everywhere. The house goes into full-blown chaos. Kids are screaming, "Call the authorities!" Some of the kids, they're standing frozen. They're so speechless. Some of them are sobbing on the ground. You can't even tell them, "Come on, do something." They're inconsolable. Congresswoman Fluor was being held back from all the doors and windows in the house by her adopted children. Whether they were concerned for her safety or whether they knew that her husband was dead on the pavement outside and didn't want her to see that, it's unclear. But in a 911 call, one of the kids tells the operator, "From what I saw here, Anderson's gone. He's gone. He's dead." The kids decided that they still don't want to just wait for authorities to show up. They spring into action and they lift their father's body from the ground into the car. They drive him to the hospital, but it seemed likely that everyone there in the house that night, they already knew that Anderson, their dad, he was dead. Daniel is the couple's only biological son. He was one of the first to get to the hospital. He was in the car that drove their father, Anderson, there. And he's sitting in the waiting room, and in walks his mother, Fluor. She had come in a separate car. And she demanded, all the hospital staff, "I need to see my husband. I need to see my husband right now." She's begging the nurses to take her to him immediately. And the nurses look down at their feet, and they tell her, "I'm sorry, Congresswoman Fluor, but he's gone. There's nothing that they can do." Fluor's husband was dead. And she drops to the floor, screaming in shock. She's like, "This can't be. My husband, what is our family gonna do? My husband." Some of the kids are trying to comfort their mom, hold her. But Daniel, their only biological son, he just watched. And he just thought, it was so odd, her reaction. Because they already knew that dad was dead. There were messages on Fluor's phone about how she wanted one of her 55 adopted children to kill her husband for her. And Anderson was not just Congresswoman Fluor's husband. He was her adoptive son.
So he's not the husband?
She adopted him and then married him.
And then she wanted to kill him.
Allegedly. And his murder would blow the door open right into Congresswoman Fluor's home. There will be allegations of SA, abuse between mother and son, father and daughter, even between adoptive siblings, sister and brother. There are allegations of dark magic being used, rituals, sacrifices being held to gain status, money, fame, power. This is one of Brazil's most controversial cases, the case of Flor de Lis. Mother Flower. We would like to thank today's sponsors who have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Their focus is on finding missing children, reducing child exploitation, and the prevention of child victimization. They have been dedicated in their fight to protect children from all angles and is currently one of the most trusted and reliable nonprofits for children experiencing abuse. This episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's growing team of dedicated researchers and translators while they focus on shedding light on stories from all over the world. And we would also like to thank you guys for your continued support as we work on our mission to be worthy advocates of these causes. As always, full show notes are available at rottenmangopodcast.com. And with that being said, before we dive into today's story, we had a ton of members on our team working on this. We had 6 people working on this case alone. It is a behemoth of a case, genuinely. We had 3 translators who spoke Portuguese help assist with gathering of the data on this one, but it is still an incredibly complicated, controversial case. There's probably at least like 100 people involved, either directly or indirectly, probably in the hundreds, if I'm being honest. There's constant contradicting statements, contradicting sources. Everyone seems to have their own perspective and reasoning for what they say truly happened. Our researchers tried to refer to the more trustworthy sources as much as possible, so court documents, official documentaries, testimonies, to make the whole process as accurate as possible. But when you have that many people involved with their own story of what really happened or what they believed happened, it's just gonna get really, really messy very quickly. So as always, please let us know in the comments if something was lost in translation, miscommunicated, or if you have any additional things that you know about this case. And a quick disclaimer. 2 disclaimers. Okay, so this case takes place in Brazil, and one of our researchers actually lives in Brazil, so we tried to get as much of like the cultural context as possible. But just a reminder, whenever we talk about other countries, let's not throw stones from our glass houses. It seems like every country has essentially the same problems, just in varying degrees. But just to be extra clear, anything we talk about today is not a reflection on the Brazilian people as a whole. This is a case where there's a lot of religious talk. This is also not representative of Christianity as a whole. And since we're at it, there is a murder victim in today's case that was later accused of doing some really, really heinous things like assault. If these allegations are true, he should have been held to the highest punishment of the law and sentenced in the court system. But instead, he was murdered. And I know it sounds a bit simpler when I state it like that, but like, trust me, this case is anything but simple. There has been so much doubt created by the public on some of the SA claims, but it's not because the public doesn't want to believe the victims, but it's just really complicated. It seemed like at that point when these claims were coming out, everybody had their own motive to talk about certain things, so just keep it in mind. And with that being said, let's get into it. It's stated that if you wanted to control someone in Congresswoman Flore's home, this is what you would do. You would grab a pot, fill it with some honey, melon, and crystal sugar. Perhaps bring it to a simmer, cooking up all the intention and energy. And then you place in 2 slips of paper, one with your name, the controller, and then the name of the person that you want to control. You just want to do everything. You want to think a thought and they'll do it, like a robot, like a brainless zombie. And then you add in a piece of sentimental jewelry inside the pot. You light a candle, and for 7 days, you pray about the intention. You pray about how you will be able to dictate everything that they think, control every thought, every emotion, every action that this person has. That is how you get to control someone. But a lot of people, at least many of Flore's adopted children, would argue that this is bordering on dark magic. And they were confused. They had been adopted by Congresswoman Flore, who is a pastor, and they're sitting there like, why is she performing rituals right now? Flore would sit them down and say rituals had always been a part of Christianity, but they've been lost in history. They weren't written down in the Bible. Flore took these rituals very, very seriously. It said that she would lock her adopted children into dark rooms for 21 days straight, isolate them. The door would only open twice a day to slip in some food. And her kids, her adopted kids, they felt like they were going crazy. But she told them, keep praying. This was to purify them. Other times, it said that she would have them all stand in a circle, all of her adopted kids. She would hand out knives, make them cut their palms, draw blood, and write Bible verses in their own blood. Other allegations included Congresswoman Flore having sexual relations with others under the pretense of cleansing them with her seemingly dark magic powers. One man said he was certain that Flore had black magic in her body. When she was engaging in these intimate relations, he said it felt like he was in a trance, like he wasn't involved with a human. He was doing something intimate with a divine being. It was like an out-of-worldly experience. It said that Flore also believed in a deeper ritualistic meaning of certain objects. She would have wealthy businessmen come over, and if they confided in her that they wanted to be even more successful in the upcoming year, she would have them get naked, sit on an apple with honey drizzled on top of it. There would be multicolored strings attached to the apple, and this was all for enlightenment, all for good luck.
I'm sorry, they're sitting on a apple.
Covered with honey.
And that's it. That's what they're doing.
And taking pictures of it.
And they're naked.
Yeah. So, which side note, I don't want to make it seem like something is wrong with these practices. I'm not exactly sure how to categorize them. I mean, in this context, people call them dark magic. I'm not sure if that's the right categorization. I don't think anything's inherently wrong. I think that everyone should feel free to practice whatever they want as long as nobody gets hurt, everybody's an adult, and no law is broken. But I think the negative connotation in today's case is that she's a pastor. She's supposed to be leading a group of people closer to a very specific faith that they believe in, yet in her free time, she's doing things that most Christians would probably faint at the idea of doing. So I guess it's more of the misalignment than anything. Another time, one of the adopted kids stated that she walked into a room and Congresswoman Flore's husband was standing in the middle of a chalk circle, like a circle on the floor.
Yeah.
Yes, and he's naked. And Congresswoman Flore starts talking, but it sounds more like a chant. She didn't really understand what was going on or what was being said, but it was very, very clear what Flore was trying to do here. Congresswoman Flor was trying to offer up her husband as a sacrifice.
And when you say husband, is that the adopted child?
Yeah, that she married. So when Congresswoman Flor's husband is found dead, the question came up for a lot of people. Was it really murder? Was he sacrificed? Was it black magic? Flor said when she grew up, she always wanted to be a witch, just like her mom. Flor and her mom, they lived on the hill. So that might mean nothing for the people that live outside of Brazil. But in Brazil, there's a saying. There are people who live on the asphalt, and then there are those that live on the hill. If you were to see drone footage flying over parts of Brazil, that you would see these beautifully, well, if you don't really know the context, it's beautiful, colorful homes built almost stacked on top of each other up the hills of Brazil. They're called favelas. And there's this picture of one of the favelas at night where there's just lights lining up the hill, and there's almost this serene beauty in the picture. It looks like LA, the Hollywood Hills lit up at night. It's the type of place that you would drive by and be like, oh, what kind of people live on a house at the top of the hill? But in Brazil, it's actually the opposite. On the hill is not where you want to be. There is no government, no zoning, no building codes, no law. The houses are built typically from scrap or stolen materials, and depending on the favela, some of them don't have basic infrastructures in place like sewage networks or even clean water. Some have stated that favelas are some of the most dangerous places in all of Brazil. In Rio de Janeiro alone, it's estimated that almost 2 million people live in these favelas.
Come on, man, you're one-shotting me way too much.
Around the city, and around 6% of the total population of Brazil live in favelas. And it's likely not a choice. Favelas are often associated with like extreme poverty. These are the people who were pushed out of the cities because they can't afford it. So they're forced into these favelas where there's an overwhelming presence of gang activity, trafficking, violence. And because of the social stigma that comes in living in a favela, it becomes impossible for these people to find work. Because they're like, you live in a favela, you're probably associated with the gang. I would call favelas a city of extremes. Because there's no government oversight, you can see most extreme versions of bad and good just colliding in one place. So the bad being, favelas are run by gangs and arms gangs. They have all the power and influence. They are known to be ruthless, brutal. They will take civilians, stuff them into tires, and light tires on fire. Then you have the good, because this is a population that is not being helped by the government. They've really become community-centered. They're very creative on trying to build this home for kids that are coming up in the favelas. Civilians are inspired to take the hardships that they face, and there's actually a very strong artistic side in favelas. Like, you will see some of the most creative people in favelas. It's interesting. And parents of children, they don't have the means to even purchase soccer balls for their kids, but you still see kids running around the hill with a ball, and it's always made out of random scraps. Recycled bottles, trash, and they just rolled it up. It was fine as long as it rolls. And then right around them, you see kids not much older than them who were probably kicking around a ball of cans not too long ago, and now they're walking around with assault rifles, and they're part of a local gang. So it's devastating to see two extremes existing all in one place on the hill.
Great fight.
So for today's story, all of that's to say, most people on the hill, they had no money. And Flor's mom was one of them. Flor's mom, Carmosina, and her second husband, Francisco, they had 5 kids to feed. So every single night they would gather around, they would sit down for dinner, and the table would be empty. And when there is no food, it's time for the witch to come out. They called Carmosina, Flor's mom, the Witch of Little Crocodile. Now, I do want to make it very clear that the next series of events I'm going to tell you about, we have no proof that it happened other than people claiming it happened, so just keep that in mind. But everyone in Jacarezinho, otherwise known as Little Crocodile, one of the most dangerous favelas in Brazil, they said Carmosina, Flor's mom, had supernatural powers. So one night, it's pouring down rain. Most people, they retreated into their homes, and there's lightning. It's like flashing brightly. Everybody's kind of freaked out. There's this eerie aura. Carmosina and her kids, they're living in a house that has a Swiss cheese roof, basically. Just a ton of holes everywhere. So the minute that it rains, just drip, drip, water pouring in. They're running around setting up buckets and bowls, catching the rainwater, throwing it out the window, then putting it back so that it could refill. But that night, there's this pounding at their door. A neighbor. He's drenched in rain head to toe, begging Carmosina, you have to cure me of my terminal lung cancer. I'm gonna die. Carmosina agreed, let the man in, and started the ritual that night. She placed a chair in the middle of the room and told him, sit. Some people who knew her said that a lot of these rituals resembled exorcisms more than anything. She would start speaking in unknown languages and in a very low tone. Sometimes it sounded like she was almost growling or hissing. Karmazina's other 4 kids, they were terrified. Anytime their mom had a little ritual of sorts, they would go hide in their rooms. But Flor was fascinated. If anyone was peeking around the corner to learn and watch, it was Flor. She wanted to learn everything that her mom knew. But instead of like the low-pitched chants this time, it was more of like a high-pitched screaming Karmazina. Karmazina was yelling at the gods to rip the evil spirits out of this man because the evil spirits were the things that were making him sick. And then suddenly, a new hole opened up on the roof and water just starts pouring down onto the man sitting on the chair. Karmazina's husband reached out to move the sick man, but she yelled at him, "Stop. The entities are curing him with the sacred waters." And Flor watched as the man started trembling, drooling as if he's in a trance, like his body was being taken over, and then like a switch flipped. He went from being so exhausted, so tired, barely being able to hold up his body weight. His eyes were bright. He was present, energetic. He jumped up from the chair like he's never been sick a day in his life. Prime health. And in the following weeks, people saw him skipping around the favela, riding his bike, looking very, very healthy. And everyone said, "See, I told you, that witch knows what she's doing." Until the man died. So the day of the funeral, his wife and kids were a mess, crying over his casket, the man's wife and kids, crying over his casket when another wife and kids walk in. They were a small family from the town over, and they came to pay their respects to their father and husband. So this man was living a double life. He had 2 wives and 2 families in 2 different towns. And Karmazina held her chest up and said, "Clearly, my ritual didn't work because his life was full of sin. That is something even I cannot cure." And everyone agreed. But there was kind of a question of like, who decides who has supernatural powers, right? Is that something that you're born with? Is that something that you learn? When did she even become a witch? Karmazina might say that it started when she was 17. And she bathed herself in her dead brother's blood. So in order to fully understand Flor's life and her dark magic allegations, we kind of have to understand her mom. Karmazina's life is very complicated, and it's said that everything that she learned in terms of dark magic, she passed on to Flor. And it was like the connection between mother and daughter, and also generational trauma. So Karmazina was forced to marry a man that she absolutely despised. He was the definition of evil. He would violently essay her, physically abuse her. He tried to kill her in the sense of just everything, emotionally, physically, just wanted her to die, basically. When Karmazina was beaten within like an inch of her life, she ran away from her husband straight to her parents, and instead of protecting her, her parents dragged her back to her husband's doorstep, and her mom got down and scolded her and said, "A man only beats his wife because he loves her. All of this is necessary. This is what's gonna make you stronger later in life. So please, if you just do whatever he tells you to do, you're gonna get beaten less and less." Karmazina was only 10 years old. After 7 years of this, almost half of her life, at 17, Karmazina finally runs away and goes to live with her brother. So this is Flor's uncle. And Flor would never get to meet her uncle, but he was famous in the area. Before there was the witch of Little Crocodile, it was Flor's uncle. Stories said that he is the origin of the Flor's family's ties to the supernatural. People who knew him said if he cursed anyone, if he didn't even like you, your fate was sealed. You would die in the most tragic, painful way possible. That's how powerful he was. And that's how his own wife died. Karmazina's brother married a 15-year-old girl. And it's said that right before their marriage, he wanted to purify her. And the process included locking his soon-to-be underage bride in a room for weeks. She was allowed to wear nothing but this white gown. And every single day the door would open and she would just get raw vegetables and drinking water. That's it. That's her diet. This is to purify her body. She's isolated all day, and then at night, Karmazina's brother would come in to purify her. He was assaulting her. This is even before they got married, and it's only going to get worse after marriage. So he's emotionally abusing her, telling her that she's never going to bear children because the entities he worshipped wouldn't like it. But what do you know? After years of being assaulted, she falls pregnant. She was so terrified, she tried to hide it because she knew that this wasn't gonna end well. This was gonna go against him. This is proof that he's wrong about something, that he doesn't know what he's talking about. And this is clearly a man that's not okay with being wrong. He finds out that his wife is 7 months pregnant, and his reaction is to beat her violently to force a termination of the pregnancy, and he allegedly sat her down, force-fed her herbal mixtures that would induce a miscarriage. Which, you know, she's 7 months pregnant. Whatever he's feeding her is very
Turns
strong.
out moving around was bad.
She ends up getting extremely sick from it and passes. She ends up dying. But somehow, by some miracle, the child miraculously survives. And a series of tragic events were triggered. Karmazina's brother attempted to light his baby on fire. Karmazina saved the baby, her niece. Days later, Karmazina comes home to find her brother dead. At the front of his house, he was hung up like meat. In a butcher shop, sometimes they hang meat on strings. He was dismembered and hung up. And his body parts were on hooks and strings. Whoever did this to him, they knew a thing or two about his rituals because they drained him of his blood and stored it in like a vessel.
What?
So before he was dismembered, he was drained of his blood. It was put into containers, and then he was dismembered and hung up like meat. Karmazina, she had every intention of calling the police and alerting them of her brother's murder, but only after she bathed herself head to toe in her brother's blood, because she felt like that was the only way to transfer his powers onto her. And then she scooped up his baby daughter that she saved and fled. Laudessia would be Karmazina's adopted daughter, Flora's cousin and adoptive sister, and also her biggest enemy growing up. They hated each other as kids. So it could be said that Flora fell in love 4 times in her life before being accused of murdering her husband. Now we're talking about Karmazina's daughter, Flora, right? So Flora's first love was through proximity. Flora had this very innocent crush on her next door neighbor, Sandoval. And the not so innocent part of all of this is that she's 12 and he's 32. But this is a good learning lesson, you know? It's a good moment for all the adults, including Sandoval, to sit her down and be like, hey, you know, these are a lot of big emotions, but nothing's going to come out of this. So you know what I mean? But instead, Sandoval, the 32-year-old, starts grooming 12-year-old Flora. Obviously, so many things are wrong with this, and this is not the definition of love. I don't think I have to state the obvious, but Flora's mom, Karmazina, knew about the grooming and imposed just one condition. She said, everything's fine. I'm going to allow this relationship as long as you do one thing for me. Flora, you are not allowed to have any relations with him before you get married, because that is a sin. Flora listened to her mother. But 32-year-old Sandoval spent every waking moment that he had with Flora like a little snake, manipulating her into believing it's only a sin if it's done traditionally. He convinced her that him using her did not count. Now, Laudessia, if you remember, the daughter of Flora's uncle, the one that killed his wife and then was butchered like meat, Laudessia was one of the first people in the family to find out about Flora's essay. She's 22 at the time, and she knew how bad this was. So she went to their dad, because Karmazina had remarried, and said, hey, listen, this is what's going on with Flora. And her hope was that he would be so upset, and he would force Flora to promise, I'm never going to see Sandoval ever again, so that Laudessia could have him to herself. She wanted Sandoval, but instead, their dad got red in the face, and he was screaming about how he was going to gather up all of his friends and go jump Sandoval and beat the living daylights out of him. Laudessia rushed to warn Sandoval that he had to escape, run away, because their dad would never stop looking for him, but she also wanted him to take her with him. Allegedly, he just looked at her and told her, you're too old for me, and ran off.
How old is she again?
22.
Wow.
He's 32. Flora's first love was through proximity. Flora's second love would be through grief. And right now, Flora's house was very tense. Her mom, Karmazina, and her second husband, they just weren't seeing eye to eye. She kept trying to tell...
That looks fucking cool. Look at that. It looks so fucking cool. That's a special piece of artwork I've never seen in a video game before. That looks fucking awesome. I'll go way back out. I didn't claim the safe house. I thought I did. Well, I could travel here, I think.
Tell him, do not go to that church trip. I had a dream that you're going to die in a car crash, and I told you that my visions are always very accurate. To him, he's like, this is nonsense. He's like waving his hand. He's going on that trip, and he's going to take their son with him because this is what you can't just have dreams and then tell me how to live my life. Interestingly enough, Flora herself, she always went on these trips with her dad. But this time, she chose to stay home. And her mom just shook her head as she watched her husband and son leave. And she told Flora, I cannot go against God's will.
So she stayed because she believes her mom more than anything. Okay.
She thinks her mom is like a witch, is the belief, right? And it's like she knew that this would be the last time that she would see her husband, Karmazina. The church concert was a success. And they're all thinking, see, Karmazina isn't always right about everything. They pack into their cars and they start driving back home. And that is when a bus slams into the back of Flora's dad's car. It was really bad. Passerby stopped to check if everybody was okay, if anybody needed help. Authorities showed up to the scene, and thankfully, every single person was alive. Minor injuries, but alive. Police arrived at the scene. They're trying to organize everything. Who needs an ambulance, how to direct traffic. And in that moment, a car comes full speed straight towards them, crashing into the civilians that were standing outside the original car crash, killing 7 people, including Flora's husband and brother.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Do we know what happened?
What do you mean?
Just a car accident, purely?
Yeah, car accident. I mean, it's crazy that I'm sure after the first car incident, they were having shaken feelings of like, oh my gosh, what a close call. Maybe Karmazina was right.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting. On the day of Flora's dad's funeral, the pastor asked Flora if she could sing for the crowd gathered there. It was all very last minute, and Flora's like 14. She doesn't have a band or a mic. She really does have a beautiful voice, though. She sang a cappella, no mic, in the church, just her vocal strength, and everyone in attendance was moved. For her, her father's funeral was the first time that she felt some level of fame. And it seemed like she really, really liked it. It was her dad's funeral, where she would bump into a man named Paolo, her soon-to-be first husband. So the way that they met honestly sounds like a story for the movies. She's singing at her dad's funeral in front of the crowd. She is on like a podium, like a stage of sorts. And when she's done, she's so shaken from the nerves and the grief and like the sadness. And she looks around and there's a man standing next to the stage holding out his hand to help her down. She takes his hand, he hoists her off the stage, and then he disappears into the crowd. She doesn't see him for another 4 years until she's 18. She's on the church stage singing and she locks eyes with the man in the crowd. It's the kind man that had helped her off the stage at her dad's funeral. And as she sang, he got up from the church pews. It's like both of them were in a trance. He starts making his way through the crowd, coming closer and closer to the front of the church, never breaking eye contact with her. Which, mind you, it sounds super romantic, but like she's singing a gospel right now, not a pop romantic song. It's a little interesting. He makes his way to the front of the crowd, and the rest was history. She married Pastor Paolo, who told her for the past 4 years he had been waiting to see her again.
How old is Pastor Paolo?
He seems old, yeah, for sure. I don't know for certain, don't quote me on it. I would imagine he was like in his 30s, and she just turned 18, so okay. I don't think he was waiting 4 years to meet her again. I'm sure he knew exactly who she was, but conveniently now she's 18. They get married. They had 3 children. So Flora has biological children: Simone, Flavio, and Adriano. They will become very important to this case later, but we're gonna dive in later, right? Don't worry about it.
4 kids.
She's gonna have another one with her second husband.
Okay.
So she's got 3 biological children with her first husband, Pastor Paolo. And these were probably the most normal years of Flora's life. But Pastor Paolo was convinced Flora was cheating on him. He said that he just couldn't do it anymore. Sure, divorce is bad in Christianity, but he cannot keep up with her appetite. That's what he said. She's just too much. Flora turned around and accused him of beating her. So it was kind of a mess that ended up in divorce and Flora taking her 3 biological kids and knocking back on the witch's door, her mom's door. Flora's first love was through proximity. Her second love was through grief. And now her third love would be through adoption. Flora, now she's in her 30s, like 32-ish, got 3 biological children. She's a single mom, and she's heavily involved in the churches in the favelas. She starts trying to do anything that she can to help. She starts bringing in kids from the favela to stay with her and starts informally adopting just any kid that needs help. Any kid that doesn't have present parents or food on the table, she's bringing them in. And this case is very interesting because she never formally adopts any of the kids. Legally, they are not her children. And this becomes an issue later because the police accuse her of kidnapping 55 kids. But as of right now, she's taking in random kids off the streets, telling them to call her Mother Flor, or Mother Flower, if you will. And she'd be like, "What's your name? Michael? Okay, why not today we start calling you Samuel?" She really liked names with some sort of biblical undertones. And one of the first few kids that she adopted was her biological daughter's 14-year-old boyfriend. So, his name is Anderson Do Carmo. And this is very interesting. Even after being adopted by his girlfriend's mother, Flor, and moving in with them, Anderson still stayed in contact with his biological parents. So it's, is it really like a full-scale adoption? Some of the kids were because they didn't really have parents around, or parents left them, or they were killed, or whatever it may be. But a lot of the kids, their parents still lived in the same town.
I see.
They would reside formally with Flora. They would eat her food. They would stay with her. They would call her mom, but they would still sometimes go see their biological parents.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting setup. So that was the case with Anderson. He would go see them frequently, but it seemed like they just weren't really in the space to take care of him as a kid. Because when his girlfriend Simone, Flora's daughter, breaks up with him, he's desperately looking for some sort of emotional comfort. And allegedly, the rumor goes like this. After Simone broke up with Anderson, he said he wanted to go into the mountains to pray. He wanted to go soul search. But instead of going alone, he asked his adoptive mom, Mother Flor, "Can you come with me for guidance? I want you to be there with me, comfort me." They went up the mountain as Mother Flor and adopted son, and they came down the mountain as girlfriend and boyfriend. Anderson was 14 at the time. Flor was 30 years old. This is her daughter's ex-boyfriend. Flor would later refute this and say, no, he was 18 by the time that we started dating, but there seems to be a lot of evidence that says otherwise. Allegedly, Flor was even briefly expelled from her church because, pedophilia, but allegedly, she was allowed back in because a lot of the churchgoers were like, "I know what she did was wrong, but she has a beautiful voice and we want to hear her sing." And that's when she found her 4th love. And maybe that 4th love had always been there, but Flor's 4th love and greatest love was herself. Flora loved being Mother Flower. She loved the idea of it, the mother of the nation, the mother of 50 children. She had this magnetic personality and charm to her it's just always been like that, though. I think charisma is one of those things, maybe you could learn it over time if you buy all these self-help books online, but some people are just born with it. Growing up, Flora would sit all of her family members down in the living room and she would sing for them. And it was always the same 5 songs on repeat, but she expected every single one of them to be at full attention and gasp in unison. This is the first time they've ever heard her hit that note. Which I will say, she is an incredible singer. She has this amazing soulfulness to her voice, which is great for gospel music. It's just Flor, since the day she was born, she knew she was someone special. And there are a lot of different sides to Flor. So at first glance, she's Congresswoman Flor, Pastor Flor, Wife Flor, and Mother Flor. It's like she has 8,000 lives.
And child molester
Her
Flor.
political career, it started with a vision. She told this story a lot on the campaign trail. She said that she woke up one morning with the most vivid dream. She sat up and she started telling her husband, Anderson, about it. "I was alone on the road and all these papers were just on the floor. on the street. Just stacks of white paper, loose paper. And all of a sudden, the wind blew, and the stack of papers came up in slow motion, and they were just floating. They weren't falling back down. They were just floating, levitating in the air. So she grabs one, and she holds it in her hand, and she starts reading it. And it was a picture of herself and 4 numbers. These were flyers for her running for the National Congress in Brazil. And she said, God was telling me to run for office. And that's what she did. She told this story on the campaign trail a lot, and she talked about her family life in great detail also. So her main cause as a politician was to shorten the adoption process. She said, as a mother of 55 adopted children, in this process in Brazil, it's so bureaucratic. There's so much nonsense. If a child is in need of a loving home, they should be able to get that soon, not in a few years when the government decides the paperwork is good enough. There are, at any given point, 9,000 children up for adoption and 40,000 couples looking to adopt. So why are there still kids in the foster care system? Doesn't make sense. Because this cause was so closely tied to Floor's life, for the listeners, it didn't feel like another politician making empty promises that probably had no real interest or connection to the cause. Her whole image of being a mom was so fitting that it won her the seat. Congresswoman Floor made history as the most voted woman in the state with over 196,000 votes. During her time as Congresswoman, she strongly advocated on behalf of children looking to be adopted and children's rights in general. People saw her as an inspiration. Then,
because she was raping children, so she tried to like balance him morally or whatever. She like stole her daughter's 14-year-old boyfriend.
and there is Woman of God Floor. She opened up 6 churches. She's doing this all at once, okay? She's got 55 kids, she's a congresswoman, and now she's opening up 6 churches. She was a pastor, saying at every single service, she attracted typically...
Is she part of Epstein's crew?
A very wealthy and influential crowd, which brought...
there it is.
Brought in around $500,000 of offerings every single month.
Wow, so she is doing really good on surface, right?
She's a celebrity.
She's a celebrity.
She's a very well-known politician, but also a celebrity. She is a gospel singer, signed with a record, produced gospel music. She would have concerts where tens of thousands of people would show up to listen to her sing. I mean, she's internationally recognized for her gospel music. She even did a U.S. tour. She was here in Miami, New York, went to Europe afterwards. She was everywhere. Yeah.
Wow.
Then there was a side of her that she called Wife Floor, you know, and she would always joke about her marriage. She talked about the way that she and Anderson fell in love, and she would, it is kind of like a politician, it's very polished. She said, Anderson started by having great admiration for me. Then it became love. And then we got married, and 3 months later, I gave him 36 children. And she would laugh, this big, hearty laugh. And you know that she's told that line before, but it was endearing. During interviews, Anderson would look at his wife with so much love, so much respect. And he would say, you know, I fell in love at first sight. And I knew that to win Floor's heart, I would have to get involved in the work that she's doing. When I married her, I knew that I married all the crazy things too.
I'm assuming he's off age now, right? He's like 20s?
Eventually like 30s, yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, so this went on for a minute.
Oh, okay. Yeah. They were together for like 30 years.
What?
So he said that's when he started helping Floor look after the teenagers and kids in need during the weekdays. Then there was Mother Floor. When it came to being the mother of the nation, Floor said a big part of why she wants to help others is she grew up in the favela herself. She said the favela's people are still forgotten, still being ignored. And it was by walking the alleyways of the favela that I saw the harsh reality of children and teenagers being swept up into drug trafficking. That's why she said she adopted, even when she had nothing. So at this point, she's really rich. But back then, she wasn't. She said that she would work all these odd jobs, cooking lunches for random...
So, like, they were waiting to do this game, and there is so much inspiration here. I didn't feel that Borderlands 3 had this kind of inspiration or artwork, but 4 is a really beautiful game. Look at this scene. There's confetti or snow. I guess it's snow. There's, like, snow and water. And there's, like, a bunch of people standing around, and then there's like into the chasm and stuff, and then there's like a big hole in the sky, and I had to go all the way up there with all those catwalks and stuff, and I went all the way to the top of this thing, and I came back down. And video game design like this isn't that common anymore, where they just like, there's no reason for this scene to be so beautiful and have so much structure and so much reality to it. It just does, and it's weird because it's like a popcorn shooter to me. It's like a summer blockbuster. I thought it would be good to buy Dragon's Dogma 2 and Borderlands, because they're kind of like summer blockbuster popcorn games, kind of in some ways. And yeah, and I'm not unhappy. I'm looking forward to buying Oblivion Remastered fucking finally. That'll be something to play on my GeForce Now for a while. I like Oblivion Remastered. I think it's a well-paced game with good combat in it, like the best Elder Scrolls combat. Well, I guess I go see that guy. I was just kind of poking my head around this crazy artistic, like, masterpiece, because it is kind of a masterpiece. Like, I felt that Tiny Tina's Wonderlands was a little bit more generic, because it was a procedural game about procedural generation, and I don't mind that, and it was designed to be played forever. And honestly, they're the same game. This is just more of the same, with a little bit more money spent on it. I think they were like, they knew this was going to be evergreen, so they really worked on this game so they wouldn't feel shame that they like let the fourth one like suffer or whatever. But yeah, I don't think they did. This game really is like quite remarkable in its artwork and its vibe and its combat and its charts and its stuff. I like this game a lot more than like ESO, for instance. I'm having a lot more fun on this game than ESO, which is kind of sad. I used to be able to immerse better. Now I'm looking for like a grind that I can just do in the background, kind of. Like, I'm thinking about going back to Mortal just because you can chop trees in the background without doing anything. And money is the game. If you can buy your way to mounts and weapons and anything that's on the auction house and books and training manuals and stuff, if you can buy anything, you can like conquer Mortal. Been thinking about like joining a really active corp for Mortal, because, or I'm sorry, whatever it's called, company or whatever, guild. I want to join an active guild in Mortal, I think, because I've never done that, and it might actually be pretty fun to do some of those team fights. Get like, get a 10v10 going. It would be kind of pretty interesting, actually. I want to be an ecumenical archer. I want to be an ecumenical archer. No, that's like what you'd be able to do that with a mage, but I don't know if you could do that with an archer. It's kind of dumb. I hope this isn't the end of the game. No, there's no way I'm at the end of the game. I think I've only done like 2 biomes or something. If we like zone out and like kind of like take a look at this. Oh wow, yeah. So no, we're like halfway, or not even. I'm like, it looks like, yeah, I'm about halfway. Man, oh no, there's like appears to be even more stuff. There's a whole nother zone up there, so I don't know. Honestly. There's 4 zones, and we've done 2, so we might actually be halfway, yeah. I don't think, I mean, the game probably ends when you get the last boss, but it's like, I don't think it ends, though. You can just keep playing this forever, and I think it is good, like, in that respect. I hope it gets harder and higher level, and they send more mobs, and it's just more frenetic and stuff. I want to see what high-level Borderlands 4 looks like. There we go. I feel like the FOV is a little too close, even for first person, because it's like kind of weird, but I don't know, I do like it. It makes the game look better to me. Okay, so
security companies, stitching patches for military uniforms. She would eat less food so that she could give the children more food. She would use all of her money to help children. Her grocery receipts were like 5 feet long all the time, and that was her hard-earned money. She barely had money. But she was willing to do it because if it wasn't her, the gangs would take the children. That's what she said. She said it's not easy.
She's right, too.
Do you know how hard
She's
it is
right
to
about
work
that.
12 hours a day, come home, change diapers, bottle feed infants, take kids to doctor's appointments,
It's
make
so
sure the
much
kids are
work.
staying out of
It's-
harm's
it's
way.
so much
It's a
work.
24-hour job and then
I've done it
some.
before.
And she said it would have been so impossible
I
without
never raised a
Anderson,
child, but I
or
helped
even
raise a child from the age of 5 till I don't know, like 8 or something like that. And I saw how much work it was, and I was like, no, thank you. God's
older
honest
kids
truth.
helping.
Yeah, I mean that's you have to
Yeah.
vote for someone like that. Like,
Yeah, and she had a lot of really touching stories. So one night, according to Flora, she made one of her biggest adoptions to date. She was in bed, exhausted, after a long day of looking after the kids, and she heard a knock on the door. She already has like 20 kids, okay? She drags herself to the door. 37 children staring at her.
Oh, no.
Flora was living in a 2-bedroom house that was already packed with at least a few dozen people. And now 37 kids are looking for a home. Where are they going to sleep in this 2-bedroom house? Where are they going to shower?
They can't.
Who's going to pay for the electricity bill, the water bill, the food, the clothing, everything? Flor closed the door briefly to think about it, and her mom, Carmozina, and Anderson looked at her and they said, like, we know better than to tell you no, right?
Yeah.
But, like, this is dangerous. Technically, it's not just about helping children. These kids, they could have gang associations. This could be a death sentence for you, Flor. They could try to steal from you. There's a potential that this could backfire and you could get hurt. Her mom and her husband, they try to reason with
Humans
her.
are like raptors in that movie Jurassic Park. That's like what they're like.
This isn't going to be easy. You can't just let your emotions run your life. Like, think logically. You have to be responsible for that many children. Think of the never-ending stress. Flor said in that moment, it was clear as day what she needed to do. She
Adopt
needed to
37
be
more kids.
Mother Flower. A senator once said about Flor, each adoption that Flor and her husband have made is a story that can be used to write a reference book about what love truly is.
Yeah.
Every single kid at one point wanted to be loved and adored by someone like Mother Flor, but Flor wanted them to prove their love first. A lot of the adopted kids said that it felt like a constant competition between the adopted siblings to be Flor's favorite. They had to go through a bunch of strange, unusual rituals and requests to try and get Flor to even notice them. Allegations came out later that Flor, quote, initiated the kids into the family, kind of like a cult. That's an opinion, not a statement of fact. She would have them change into an all-white outfit, allegedly, and she would throw them into a dark room for weeks. Some of the kids stated that they weren't allowed to do anything. The door would open, slide in some raw vegetables and water, and that was it. Does this remind you of anything? The more sinister allegation was that at night, these kids would have to, quote, perform for Flor. Again, if that sounds familiar to you, that's what Flor's uncle, the origin of the family's supernatural powers, that's what he did to his 15-year-old, quote, bride. Now, once released from that room, the child would be sorted into their appropriate team. The house was divided. The kids said that there's A team and B team. The A team consists of all the biological kids. Anyone who came out of Flor directly, they were on the A team. And then a few of the adopted kids would find their way in there. These were the gifted kids. The A team is where you wanted to be. They quite literally ran the house. They had their own bedrooms while the other kids practically slept on top of each other in crammed bunk beds, crammed into tiny, tiny rooms. You could always tell who was on the A team during meal times. Everybody else would get the same diet every single day of like the cheapest foods in stock. But the A team, they would sit there and eat steak, French fries. Those were the coveted foods. They had a refrigerator filled to the brim with snacks. But it was locked. And only members of the A team had the key. Even if B team kids were starving, they wouldn't get any food. Sometimes food would expire and it would be thrown out.
Do the team ever change?
So the biological kids always stay on A team. The adopted kids, a few of them make it onto A team, but they can easily be swapped. They're
So
basically
you have to earn your way there. Okay.
and keep your way there. Yeah. Neighbors stated that once Flor's career took off, some of the Flower kids, they were really well taken care of. New clothes, well fed, always seen at hair salons, spas, getting facials, massages. Like they never had to work a day in their lives. They lived like Nepo babies. But the other flower kids, the B team, they would be seen walking around hungry, wearing shoes that were 2 sizes too big, 2 sizes too small. They're constantly working nonstop all day, all night to, quote, pull their own weight and contribute to the family's expenses. They had to hand over most of their money to Flora and Anderson. And if they didn't, it was alleged that they would get beat with a baseball bat. They didn't look like the kids on interviews with Flora and Anderson. One of the adopted sons says, "When you're against Flora, you're the literal devil." It was Team A and Team B, the team of good and the team of evil. Some of the kids stopped seeing her as Mother Flora, but instead they saw her as like a Venus flytrap. They said if you've ever seen a Venus flytrap in person, they don't really look scary. If anything, they look intriguing. Unassuming, right? Venus flytraps, they lure the unsuspecting prey by secreting a nectar. It's a sweet nectar. It's like sweetness. And then when that unsuspecting innocent prey makes their way into the jaws, the Venus flytrap slowly closes, strangling it, suffocating it, digesting it, absorbing it. And when no prey landed on her front doorstep, it said that Flora would go looking for them. Flora didn't just bring in children living on the street with no family. Sometimes she would see a kid on the street and think, okay, that kid's gonna be mine. That kid's coming home with me. She would walk up to families on the street and beg them to take their child. And she would tell them, I promise to give your kid a better life than you can provide.
Wow.
To a degree, it almost seemed like she was trying to lure kids to her house. She would tell all of her other adopted kids, like, go tell your friends how fun it is at
It's a Pied Piper cult.
their Flora's house. Go, go, go. She would have these big arcade games that she would buy at her house. And then they would run off and like tell everybody, there's no rules here. Come, come. So
Oh my god, it's like the Ninja Turtles movie.
a lot of these kids, they would leave their family, just run away to go.
This is the Shredder backstory for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is the backstory for Shredder in the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies. So weird.
Live and be adopted by Mother Flora. And it's very strange to think about it. If these kids were ever running errands with Mother Flora out and about, they would be like, Mom, calling on the street. And if their real biological mom sees that interaction, that's just so strange to me that their real biological parents are there and yet they're being called new names. They're calling another woman mother. It's odd to say the least. In hindsight, to a lot of people in Brazil, it started to feel like her goal, Flora's goal, was to have as many, quote, adopted children as possible, make that her whole identity, her whole branding, and start gaining some sort of adoration, respect, and love from the community. Not to mention, Flora was a very magnetic character on camera. So once people found out that she had 55 kids, she made informally adopting children her whole personality. Yeah, some of her adopted children came forward later to state that she would come up with these tragic backstories for their lives. They would be introduced on television like, oh, everybody meet Michael. His mom was killed in a plane crash and his dad died tragically in the river and all 5 siblings were kidnapped by a local serial killer. And they're sitting there like, my family literally lives down the block. Clearly, that's an exaggeration, but she really did go around saying that, like, she fished some of the kids out of the dumpster. One story that she practically built her whole political career off of was Flora was walking around the favela when she heard a kid being tortured by a gang. They were going to kill the kid, and she knew it. So she rushed over, and one thing that you know about the favelas is you do not mess with the gang. Like, that is a death sentence. You don't stand up to them. Even if you look at them the wrong way, you could be killed. So I was trying to like go down the rabbit hole of favelas, and I saw some YouTubers had vlogged in favelas, right? And someone had commented, there is an unspoken rule in favelas. You don't hit on any woman in a favela because you don't know if that woman is the object of affection by a gang member. And even just saying something nice to her could get you killed. Like, that's how easily you can piss off a gang member, okay? So she said, I'm going to stop this gang from killing this kid. She rushed over, saw a little boy, 13 years old, bag covering his face, bloody, bruised up. There's a gun, assault rifle pointed at his head. He was about to be executed. This is the gang that runs the favela. She stands in between the gun, the kid, and the gang and says, absolutely not. I don't
Absolutely
care.
the fuck not. No. I can't believe this is her. Why? She's like this crazy child molester.
You think you are? I'll be damned if you think that you're going to hurt a kid in front of me.
No.
She's
That's what
not
I would
scared
do.
of the revenge or consequences from the gang?
Yeah.
No.
That's a whole thing that comes into play later. So she said that she put her own life on the line and said, you know what, gang? If he messes up and tries to get in your territory, you come after me and you kill me instead then. I'm going to take responsibility for this kid. This story was a guaranteed crowd mover. She told it with so much passion, even when it was people's 5th time hearing it, they'd be bawling, they'd be crying. And remember the story of the 37 children that showed up at her door? There was more to Flora's over-the-top heroic story. She claimed that 37 kids who showed up at her door were survivors of a massacre. The massacre of Candelaria was one of the biggest events, like tragic events in Brazil. And it was a targeted attack against children without homes. So more than 60 young kids were outside of a church in central Rio when a group of off-duty police officers opened fire on them, killing 8 of them. Side note, there are conflicting accounts of why police officers would want to go out and commit literal murder against children, of all people. There are 2 main accounts. One stated that the police had gotten into an altercation with some of these kids earlier, and this was revenge. The second theory was that they were paid to clear the city of, quote, street children. Either way, a lot of the children fled from the church terrified, and now they really have nowhere to go. Where is safe? Because if they're outside, who's to say that more off-duty police officers aren't just going to come around shooting them? They had nobody to talk to. Flora claimed 37 of them showed up at her door that night, and she took in the survivors of this infamous massacre. This story catapulted Flora into mainstream media in Brazil. News networks, TV shows, they all wanted to meet Mother Flora. They wanted to meet her 50 children. They were so curious about so many things, right? How do they live together? Do they take turns showering? How do they have enough food, right? How does one interviewer even ask Flora, how do you remember all their names? And she would laugh and she said, you know, it takes time. I have to stare at their cute little faces and repeat their names. But to me, that's nothing. You know, saving these children from a life of crime, trafficking, and drugs, that's what matters, you know? And she takes a lot of pride in not just adopting infants, but even teenagers who have, according to her, troublesome history, if you will. The whole messaging is, she's a savior. Now, Diane, her adopted daughter, said, between the adopted kids, there was a feeling that we were being used by Flora and Anderson. Flora never gave us affection or love. It was a house full of anguish and resentment. And in interviews, the family seemed perfect. All the kids looked like kids. They're laughing, happy, carefree. But many of them would later say, it was all an act. We were not happy. We were not well taken care of. Not only that, but there were allegations that they were being sexually assaulted by their own adoptive parents. After the kids were, quote, initiated into the family, Flora would bring them into a secret room that usually none of the other members were allowed into, and some of them claimed that she would perform, quote, rituals on them. Some of them alleged that they were pretty dirty when they came into the house because they didn't have access to a shower. So Flora would say, hey, I need to make sure that you're really clean. A lot of the adopted sons said that she would follow them into the bathroom and start assaulting them during the first bath. And if she liked it, then she would continue to assault them throughout this whole process. And if you tried to go up against it or say, hey, I don't think that we should be doing this, they would be kicked out of the house, allegedly. Other kids said, I don't know about the parental abuse, but a lot of the adopted kids were dating each other, and it was kind of strange. Like, there was always this very tension in the house between everyone. It didn't seem like a family unit. It just seemed more like a group of people, anyone could date anyone. It was just, they thought it was odd. Even kids as young as 10 were dating each other. And allegedly, they claimed that Flora not only allowed this, but encouraged it. Dating amongst her adoptive children. It was just strange. A lot of these allegations felt like it's nothing like a real family. Additionally, there were allegations that Flora would round up all the teenage, still underage girls in the house, all of her adopted daughters, and offer them up as playthings for politicians she wanted to impress. Or worse, pastors. You know, sometimes you have cases where there are no witnesses, no personal connections to the victim's life to follow. Nothing. The lead is cold, dead end. You have nothing else to explore. You wish that you had 100 people who saw something or knew something, right? But with this case, the police said it was the exact opposite problem. There are too many people involved, too many perspectives, experiences, biases, motivations. And when someone is executed like that in front of their home, with most of the wounds to their private area, one thing is very clear. Someone had a very strong, very personal motive. After Anderson's murder, the kids were already divided into groups. The ones who thought nobody in their family had anything to do with the murder. The ones who thought someone in the family killed Anderson.
But nobody saw anything. Nobody saw the killer.
No. And just like Flora, Anderson had a lot of people who loved him. Anderson is also a very complicated person. I think this case gets really messy because people start accusing each other of basically everything. But before the murder, Anderson was very well loved in his community. And I'm not saying that the allegations of abuse didn't happen because he's loved in his community, but it just adds another layer of complication. He held his own sermons at church, and he was able to really motivate people, connect with them. People said that he was charming. It was endearing that he was also very passionate and dedicated to not only his kids, but to Floor. So most community members, they had a positive association with Anderson, but some of his kids, they did not. Some of the kids stated Anderson is not the person you think he is. They said Anderson's only goal in life was control. He wanted to control Floor, their children, and especially their money. Some of the kids said, you would think that Floor is the one in charge because she's technically the congresswoman and like the gospel singer, right? All of that, the mother of 50 children, right?
Latin culture,
Anderson is the one that's making all the calls.
It's always
He's got
man.
the brains, right?
Yeah.
And as much as the kids despised him, they do give him credit. They're like, you know what? He is the reason that Floor is successful in the first place. Some kids stated that to Anderson, we were all just numbers. Like, we're a business to him. Adopted kids would grow up, move out, or run away, and once the numbers started going down in the house, he would go and fetch new kids to bring in. He's not really providing love. This is just to maintain their image of being the adoptive parents of the nation. They said allegedly he would beat the shit out of the kids, and the whole mother Floor branding was the only thing that mattered to him. So to the police, once they start digging, initially there's a lot of suspects. Maybe Floor and Anderson were targeted by political opponents. Because, you know,
I am making so much goddamn money. It just keeps racking in. I'm gonna ask for $4 billion here, which is like, I don't know, $50 USD or something like that. If you could sell it, maybe one day I could sell it. Maybe I should just stockpile all this money and then sell it one day. It'd be kind of cool. Or I mean, maybe it'll be legal is what I mean. Maybe it'll be legal to sell it one day. We don't know. I'm just going to stockpile it and just keep skill training and running Master at Arms. That's what I care about. Speaking of Master at Arms, I don't really have one in, and it's kind of annoying. Yeah. 15,000 skill points. There's a standard boost. I'll just use that. $150,000 skill points for whatever reason. I'll take it, sure. Fed Day, Celebration Crate. Usually they have an event for Federation Day, I thought, but no. That was a lot of stuff, damn. Okay, I've been playing Borderlands a lot because it's kind of a mindless, like, push-forward game that I like with the yellow trail that'll just keep taking me through the whole fucking game, and I like that. Oh, my pet killed something. Is it a scorpion? Damn, thorn creep. It's like a bunch of explosions going on. This shotgun's so good. It's gonna be hard to replace this shotgun. I've never seen a shotgun in Borderlands this good. Oh shit. Man, these things dropped a ton of stuff. For whatever reason. I give this game a 9. I love this game. I can't stop playing it. Like, I don't know. What am I at now? Like probably like 40 hours something. 30? Probably gonna beat this game. Probably take me like 200 or 300 hours or some shit. I'm probably only like 1/10 of the way or something. But I've been playing for so much. It's not an MMO, but I mean, I am playing an MMO, and I'm subbing to Mortal probably tomorrow, honestly. there's good mob diversity in this game. There's a lot of fucking different mobs. Some of them are reskins, but it's like still, like the colors are so different, and the abilities and stuff that they do, you don't really notice. I wonder what it'd be like to just join someone's party. You know, I used to join a lot of Borderlands parties and stuff. This is a good gun for aerial birds. Just kills them all if they're flocking like that. I like the gun implementation. Reminds me of Starfield. I haven't played Starfield in a while. I think I'm done with this game now, though. I think I'm going to go play some Final Fantasy 15. I don't know, maybe some Dragon's Dogma, actually. This is beautiful. Look at all the trees and the snow and the biome and the spaceship and stuff. They did such a good job on the artwork in this one. It doesn't have that rainbow look of Tiny Tina Wonderlands. It has like good natural beauty to it. This game is good target practice too. Oh wow, I can hover bike all that? I didn't know. Oh shit. Nice, I got some more progress and I'll stop here. Okay, time to move on to the next one. She's cool. She's like a new character. I'll skip it. I don't care about this story. Is there a machine around? Oh, yes, there is. Yeah. I'll get ready to sell... Oh, that's a respec. Oops. That's a bank. Well, yes, but I need to sell... Oh, you don't let me sell here. Maybe over here. Here's a Tristan. Oh no, we're stealing his thing. Oh no, get out. Oh, I came in. Oh, I snaked your thing. I'm so sorry. I did not know. I'm sorry. I would have left. Sorry. Oops. Oh, good. So, over here somewhere was an easy machine.
They're controversial people. Perhaps, maybe it was a gang then. Because Flor had been so vocal about how dangerous the favelas had been and how the gangs are like kidnapping children and doing horrendous things with them. Maybe they felt insulted that she's undermining their control there. It's not a far-fetched theory. It could be political, it could be gang-related, or it could be religious. Maybe it's a religious opponent who just thought that she's dabbling in dark magic allegedly while running 6 churches and they wanted her gone. Or was it someone closer to the family? Maybe someone even in the family. An expert would state that because Anderson's private areas were targeted, quote, there was a goal here to destroy everything there, an indication of sexual nature, rage, and to destroy everything that was there. A few of the adopted daughters would claim that Anderson would nonstop try to essay them. One of them would later tell officers, you know, Anderson deserved death. It seemed like a lot of people had motive, but only one person had a whole lot to gain. Congresswoman Flor. She was questioned about the night of her husband's murder, and things just were not adding up. She denied having gone to a club that night by stating that a public figure like myself, I would never end up at a place like this. Even if she had gone there, at least she went with her husband, right? Instead of someone else's husband? Which is kind of an odd way of trying to convince someone that you weren't there. But regardless, she stated that she had actually gone to the beach. Again, we don't even know if this is true, if they had maybe gone to the beach after the club, but this is Flora's version of events. And she claims it was just the beach, something that they would do often to get alone time away from the kids. So they're strolling around the beach, holding hands, giggling like they're teenagers in love. And then in this wild, spontaneous, romantic gesture, she said Anderson ran up to a chair on the beach, climbed on top, opened his arms, and screamed out loud for everyone to hear, "I love you, Fleur-de-Lis, I love you." People were looking at him like he was insane, but she was just smiling because, you know, their romance was so intoxicating. She said they found a quiet spot, made love in the moonlight, then strolled around a while before making their way back to the car. This is when things start getting a bit strange. Flora said on their way home, she noticed 2 motorcycles tailing their car. They were driving extremely slow, which is alarming. So there are a lot of motorcycles in Brazil, but they're usually all rushing to get to deliveries to their next destination. These motorcycles usually don't.
This is a really good game. This is markedly better than Borderlands 3, in my opinion. If you play it on GeForce Now and you're optimized, you have the right settings and stuff, and all the graphics are good and you're getting good frames, like I'm pulling 165 no problem. Look, that's a new mob I've never seen before. Thing's fucking sweet looking. Okay, I think I'm going to stop here. Yeah, we've been playing a lot of Borderlands 4. I got a lot of other games, too. This was good. I always like these sessions. I never have complaints. So, yeah, we'll go to Dragon's Dogma 2 and do a little bit of maging.
Don't stay behind cars. They'll weave in between cars to get ahead.
Final Fantasy to
but there were 2 motorcycles just going below speed limit behind them, not moving in the same direction as them. She thought it was weird. She started paying attention to it because, you know, they live in a city where there was an uptick in crime rates. But after a little while, the motorcycles took a turn and vanished. So she didn't think anything of it. 4 a.m., they get to the house. The streets are quieter. No motorcycles in sight. Her husband said that he wanted to work in the car a little bit longer, so she went in herself to check on the kids. Her grandson, Ramon, was still awake, and she was busy scolding him when she starts hearing the gunshots. Now, she stated that originally she wasn't really that freaked out. Gunshots are not that uncommon in this neighborhood. She went back to talking to her kids, but then a few things started popping up in her mind. She said, 1, why were there so many gunshots fired? It sounded like at least 6. 2, why did it sound so close and so loud? And 3, where is Anderson? She said she started to realize that Anderson was in trouble because, and I quote, because my husband is always concerned about my safety. With everything, any sort of difficult situation, the first person he'd look for to help was me. Me. Meaning, if there were gunshots fired nearby, Anderson would have run up to check up on Flor.
I see.
Porque o meu marido, ele era muito preocupado com a minha segurança. Ele era muito preocupado, ele tinha muita preocupação em me manter tranquila em qualquer coisa desse nível, qualquer situação difícil. A primeira pessoa que ele procuraria para tranquilizar seria eu.
That's when she realized, oh my God, Anderson is probably in trouble. Flora said she believed that this is a robbery gone wrong. The motorcyclists were somehow following them home, hoping to rob them, but instead they were confronted by Anderson, killed him, got scared, and ran away. She later said, "I went on a date with my husband, just a date, and it ended like this. It ended with him losing his life while protecting the house, protecting the family. What he tried to do was to..." Unfortunately, he opened the gate to the garage and he tried to stop them from entering the house. He sacrificed his life to protect the family. That's what she said. Nobody, not even authorities, wanted to be suspicious of her, right? Because she's supposed to be grieving the most. But the math was not mathing. First of all, the dogs. The couple owned 2 big dogs. I think they lived in the yard. And they were notorious for barking at strangers that passed by. Literally, a neighbor walks past the gate, the dogs are losing their mind barking. They went around asking for neighbors if they had heard dogs barking after the gun or before the gunshots. They all responded no. If there were multiple strangers tailing Fleur from their date to their house and they showed up to shoot Anderson, the dogs would have at least barked, right? That didn't make any sense. They examined the dogs, and neither of them showed signs of being drugged. So sometimes robbers will throw treats with drugs to make them, mellow out so that they won't bark, but none of that. The dogs were fine. Huh. Could it really be robbery then? Robbery gone wrong? I mean, this doesn't necessarily cast suspicion on Fleur. It's just that the police think the robbery theory just doesn't make sense. But they still have to check out all the leads. The police pull CCTV footage from the cameras on the street that showed Fleur and Anderson in the car driving home. No footage showed the actual murder itself, but there were some intriguing things that were found. The police were able to track the couple most of their way home, and there were never 2 motorcycles around them. Why would Fleur lie about something like that? And why would she push the theory that the motorcyclists followed them to rob them but then ended up killing Anderson? To the public, the couple seemed madly in love, like little teenagers. But some of Fleur's children would later state to the police, the wealthier the couple became, the more their relationship started to show cracks. Some kids stated Anderson had full control over the money, and that was a big pain point for Fleur. The feeling being that Fleur seemed like the type of personality that wanted to spend all of her money. Anderson wanted to make sure that didn't happen and save a lot of it. Maybe for himself, maybe for them, maybe for the kids, who knows? Kids said that Fleur complained that the trade-off was unfair. She's like, I am the one singing. Why is he controlling the money? And just to give you context, we don't know the relationship behind closed doors, but some of the older kids reported that the money wasn't even split that unfairly. It was split 60-40. Anderson would take 60%, Fleur would take 40%, but Anderson paid all the bills. So So he paid for everything, the house, the rent, grocery bills, school fees for the kids, transportation costs. He funded all the kids. That's why he took 60, and he was the manager behind everything. Like, Fleur literally was just like the charismatic figure. And all of Fleur's 40% was just spending money. But there are unsubstantiated reports that their relationship was getting really weird because of this. And Anderson started doing some questionable things. So if a new teenage girl came in, this is an allegation, by the way, right? If a new teenage girl came in to be adopted, Anderson would ask Fleur if he could assault her. Fleur almost always said yes. Another allegation states that when an adopted daughter came to Fleur terrified that Anderson was trying to essay her, Fleur would tell her, if the wife is aware that her husband is looking for someone else, it is not a sin. If that's true, that means Fleur doesn't see this as essay, but just as regular cheating. I mean, that doesn't make sense. But following that logic, maybe Fleur was over it. Maybe she was over him cheating and taking her money and controlling the finances. But would she really have someone kill her husband? Like, that's what the police are thinking. She could just take control over her finances or divorce the guy, right? She can't divorce him. It goes against her image of being a family. A mother of 55 children. A single mom of 55 children just doesn't have that good of a ring to it in the political sphere. If she divorces him, she risks her political and religious careers, both of which are indirectly bringing in a lot of money, especially being a pastor of 6 churches. Yeah. So going by that theory, if Anderson is killed, Fleur will only gain more love and admiration because she suffered a tragedy. So the motive, there is one. Police, you know, they've got their suspicions about Fleur, but the public is still rallying around her. So for a lot of the public, Fleur was basically an angel that descended from heaven to take care of the unfortunate. And one of the most famous movies at the time in Brazil was based on Fleur's life. So they're thinking, how can she be capable of killing someone? The movie was called Fleur de Lis. I mean, one word is enough to create change. That was the tagline of the movie. Just objectively speaking, the movie was insane. It had some of the most famous Brazilian actors and actresses in it, and most of them worked on the movie for free. They volunteered. They didn't care about the money. They stated they thought that Fleur's life story should be told. Yeah. And I mean, one of the main actresses, she was like the soccer player Neymar, like an ex-girlfriend of his. Like, these are star-studded casts. Like, you're talking about, yeah, a lot of insane people. Now, if the police were suspecting her of anything bad, the public just thought it's probably because they can't do their jobs. They can't protect these kids in the favelas, and they hate the fact that she's shedding light on the situation to the whole world. It's embarrassing them that she can do their jobs better than they can. So the day of Anderson's funeral, hundreds of people showed up from all over Brazil to show and pay their respects. They just felt so heartbroken, not just for Anderson's giant family, but for Fleur. You know, they had been together for 30 years, and now she's a widow, a single mom. She's got to stay strong for 55 kids. So when Fleur arrived, the crowd forced a human corridor for her to pass through. She had a white jacket and big sunglasses over her eyes. She was like in the thick of grief. It looked like people were holding her back from flinging her body onto Anderson's casket. Some people said that she looked like she was gonna faint at any point. But halfway through the funeral, it got a little weird. Fleur disappeared and reappeared in a new set of clothing. A little outfit change in the midst of the funeral, and she went up on stage to sing. I don't think we can dictate how people grieve or show their respects, and I know that a lot of artists use music as an outlet for their emotions, but I think people were a little bit taken aback because the funeral was like 2 days after Anderson's murder. So it was very fresh. Yeah. Minutes after Anderson was buried, Fleur and her kids, they packed into the car and they started driving out of the funeral. Funeral goers were waving bye to them when they see a line of cop cars pull up to stop Fleur's family car. And at first, people just assumed, okay, the police probably want to escort the family home. Maybe her life is in danger because they haven't caught the killers yet, right? It's good to know that the police are trying to protect the family. But instead, the most chaotic scene unfolds. All hell breaks loose. 2 people are dragged out of the family car on the way out of the funeral, and 2 family members are arrested for Anderson's murder. Fleur's biological son, Flavio, and Fleur and Anderson's adopted son, Lucas.
These people were so fucking crazy.
They were both arrested for the murder of Anderson. And
look, my staff looks fucking awesome.
The biological son is from previous husband?
Yes. Earlier in the investigation, authorities had asked each kid where they were the night of Anderson's murder. Lucas, one of the older kids, stated, "I was partying all night, got home really late." But when the officers went through CCTV footage outside of Fleur and Anderson's home, there was Lucas arriving home minutes before the murder happened. He was dropped off by a car, ran inside the house carrying a black backpack. Then he ran out not too long after without his backpack. Authorities confronted him about his lie, and he just responded, "The backpack? Right, I forgot about the backpack. I just wanted to drop off some laundry." The police were confused. "But you don't live there anymore. You left the party that you were at, grabbed the backpack of dirty clothes, and dropped them off at 3 a.m. at a house that you don't live at anymore?" He didn't have a good answer to it. Police tried to piece together a potential motive for Lucas, and all of the other adopted kids said he was one of the more, quote, problematic kids. You know, I don't really like that term, but a lot of the family members said that he had a temper. He was very aggressive. He was always involved in some gang activity before he was adopted, and he promised Fleur and Anderson that he would stop, but he never did. He would show up at home bloody, bruised up. Anderson was constantly beating him, telling him, if you don't stop, like, dealing with these gangs, I'm not going to keep a criminal in the house. We're going to kick you out. One piece of evidence that really intrigued the investigators was Lucas had texted Fleur not too long before the murder, "If Anderson comes to me and dares to lay a hand on me, I'll end him." In hindsight, what he texted is really bad. Authorities consider this clear intent to kill, but some could argue that it sounds like a teenager that's upset. Best case, it's a wounded ego and it's not a threat. Worst case, it's a threat on Anderson's life. Police went with the latter. But while the authorities were searching the house looking for evidence against Lucas, they found a gun in Flavio's room. the biological son. The murder weapon. The murder weapon had been wiped of fingerprints, but the police knew it was Flavio's because A, it was in his room, and B, there was a single pubic hair on the gun, and the pubic hair belonged to Flavio. So they arrest the two family members. And this next part gets really unhinged, but both sons were placed in the same interrogation room, seated right next to each other, and the officer presented them with the gun and said, "Have you ever seen this gun, Lucas? Because we think this gun was in that backpack that you dropped off at the house minutes before Anderson was killed." Have you?
This mage is 7 levels higher. Nauchka. Okay, we have a new mage. Goodbye. See him, that pawn just leaves. What a weird place to meet this guy, but he was a good find. I like Dragon's Dogma 2. It's not my favorite game, but I do enjoy playing it, you know? It's like a fun little RPG. I want to get through it, which is going to take a lot of time. And I like the mage stuff in it, but it gets very one and the same kind of very quickly. But I don't know, the fights are dynamic because I haven't seen them all yet. They're about to add like a crazy endgame thing called Dark Arisen to this, which I'm excited for. I'm going to buy that. In Mortal Online 2, in order to go to Sarduka, do I have to start over? Or I'm sorry, in order to go to the North American server, do I have to start over? I do, huh? Fuck. So, should I level a character and leave it in Haven for the launch day? Oh, so it's like it's a brand new start, huh? Oh, 3rd character slot, huh? Okay. Do you know the exact date of the expansion release, like, and time? I mean, sorry, the exact time.
Have you seen it before? Lucas said, yes, I have. Flavio sent me a message with a picture of the gun a while ago. He said it was his new gun. Okay, Flavio, explain that. Flavio said, I only bought the gun for protection reasons. I wanted to protect my family. From who? From Lucas. He went on to say, while sitting right next to Lucas, that Lucas was very aggressive and violent towards the family, and Flavio was terrified that something was going to happen, so he bought the gun. Okay, and how did you buy this gun? Because it's an illegally purchased, like, black market gun. Oh, I bought it through Lucas. He went on to explain how Lucas took him to see some people that were going to sell him the gun because he had connections.
At least it wasn't me. I saw it coming. I was like, I'm trying to get out the spell in time, but no, you got fucking rocked before I could get the spell out. I'm sorry. That guy seems stuck. Oh, hey, I liberated this camp. Wait, is this where I was trying to go? I don't think it was. Oh, maybe this is. I don't know. I was trying to go to this camp. Yeah, I think I was trying to go to this camp. I didn't realize it had all this stuff around it. But okay, well, cool. Well, cool. We can make camp. They rest because they're hurt. 26 pounds. Oh, that's not that bad. Cook. Elton A's, Scrag, a beast. Yep. Looks good. I think I'd rather play Final Fantasy 15 though. Sort of dumb. I think it's a better paced combat game than this is. A little bit. Like, I don't know. Like, like this game is kind of tense, but it doesn't freak me out the way Final Fantasy 15 does. 15 can be kind of a hard game in some ways. Oh, no. Oh, no. I don't want to. Yeah, I like the fire. Rest of the morning. Yeah, this was a good session. I got down the road a bit and explored more of the map. Gonna go play some Final Fantasy 15 now. How to make a no Steam executable. Which works for DRM free games. Check some no Steam patch. Like some ego subtitles are used through like Steamless to strip DRM. Wait, Steamless? What's Steamless? Let's see. Steamless is a DRM remover of the various Steam stub variants applied to applications games released on Steam via the DRM tool in the Steamworks. So I don't know. I don't think this helps me. Yeah, DRM is present in Final Fantasy 15. There's no way around this. It sucks. Like, I don't mind. I'm learning that it's better to focus on one game and play even the background than it is to play 3 games and not be focused on like almost any of them. But it is good. We're going to Steam. I'm going to do some Final Fantasy 15. Ooh, I could do some Horizon Forbidden West. I haven't played that game in a little while. I've been meaning to play some more of that. That's a good game too. Yeah. Trying to find Final Fantasy 15. Oh no. I move this to G? I thought I did. No. I will have to reinstall 15 and it's 105 gigs. Where did it go? Seems weird. A bunch of games that were installed are gone now. They must have been on my D drive, huh? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I lost a bunch of installs on D, which is fine. A bunch of my installed games are gone, but that's alright. Ah, get off me. Stupid mosquito or whatever it is. Oh, I would like some dessert, I think. Or, well, no, I think I'd probably actually like to eat dinner. Like, I don't know. I had dinner already, but it's like, that to me is like lunch. Just looking through the games that I have installed. Yes. So, let's see. I want to go get Final Fantasy 15 installed. That will take some time. Well, well, I don't know. I have a, what's the difference, right? What's the fucking difference? I don't think there is one. Do I have a copy of Final Fantasy 15? I don't think I do, huh? No, because I lost my F drive and it had, or well, I don't know. Maybe I do actually on on E. I don't think I do though. Not on this file, no. Oh, yeah, there's 12 and 13, but no, I don't have Final Fantasy 15, which sucks. 12, the Zodiac Age is there, and 13, but not 15, and that sucks. I kind of need like a DRM free version of 15. There's all of the install files for the GOG X4 Foundations, which I did like. There's Baldur's Gate 3 just sitting there, and then but I don't think I have the install for Final Fantasy 15. It's unfortunate. I was like, do I have the install at least? No. That sucks. Well, so I don't know. I'm looking for DRM free Final Fantasy 15, but I can't get it. I guess I could buy it on Windows. I suppose that's one way to do it. Well, let's install it on my save is on PC, but I won't be playing this game right now, unfortunately. I wish, I don't know, it's like hard. It's hard to say. Okay, so I don't know. I lost a lot of games that were on my D drive, and they're like gone, but that's alright. My D drive corrupted anyways. Let's play some Horizon Forbidden West. That has a lot of action. I wasn't really looking to play that much action, but it's definitely less boring than probably Final Fantasy 15, honestly, or even Dragon's Dogma. It's a better arcade game. This is a good game. I like these games. I think Guerrilla's good company. This game loads so fast for how beautiful it is. It's just like boom, shoot, in like 10 seconds or something. You're like, what the fuck? This beautiful game. I think it has to cache because it hasn't played in a long time. It hasn't played yet, so it's caching, but it's really fast once you do cache. No, I just want to go back. Wow, so on the first, I returned to Mortal on the North American server, and I've got a long grind. It's gonna take several weeks, but I don't mind it. Gonna build a house, or well, yeah. So let's go back and see what they said. 3 a.m. to 5 a.m., huh? Oh, so you jump directly from Haven to Sarduka. I don't have to do anything in Nave? Oh, so this is like brand new. Let's see. Can you show me pictures of the 3 cities? I want to decide visually. Oh, never mind. I'm going to just go Bet Jada. Oh, I want Bellrim. Okay, Bellrim. Okay, I'm gonna choose Bellrim. If I ask again, will you remind me that it's like that I wanted the quiet, isolated frontier one, the Bellrim city? Yeah. Yeah, it'll be like in 3 days, yeah. Yeah, it's doing shader compilation, so it takes a little while. I guess I'll use this opportunity to cook something. I'll be right back since I'm not playing anything anyways. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I need to attack mobs on Eve, actually. Yeah. But we're going to get this site. I made so much money with just these Tristans. I'm doing so fucking well.
And the logic is
Doing so fucking well. Do so fucking well. Do so fucking well. There we go. Now I'm gonna go cook something. I'll be right back. Wait, stiff. Let's just see. I don't know. What shall we have? I guess I'll have some. Those are, yeah, and I don't really have anything to put on that, so I don't know. I think I'll have palette paneer. That's fine. I'll have palette paneer in one of these wraps, I guess. Let's get dependable when you use it. Yeah. I'm doing it's cooked really well. Screw that. Have some palette paneer. Oh yeah. Yes. So these settings, got to worry about them. Let's see, graphics, 4x and a subject. The preset is high. Cinematics letterboxing, no. Best rate is 240. VSync should be off. On plus boost, contrast, dynamic resolution scaling. DLSS frame gen on. Quality. Yeah. Yes. Oh, look, it looks way better now. It's running way better now. This game looks so fucking good. But I want different settings now. Okay, so that's for the graphics. This music's really good. I wish it was louder. Hi, kitty. Nope, I want to go get my food first before you get on me. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, we'll be good. I'm gonna get one of these. This is one I was using before. Oh, let's see, that's good. Okay, there it is. Here is a nice wrap. Ooh, it's got a good texture to it. I like it. I'll get a fancy ice water, I suppose. This is a healthy meal. Okay, so... So, there's that. Some water. Cold on the morrow. Okay. Oh, I forgot the thing. Oops. Nice little thing. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna kill this. I think finally, as it's 11:15, and let me make sure I've got a fork over here somewhere. That's odd. I don't. Silver fork, I don't know. Must be in here. There's my silver. dinner, you kitty. You stay out of my dinner, you kitty. That's my dinner. Excuse me. Coming in. Stay out of my dinner, kitty. It's my dinner. You'll have yours soon. Oh, look how pretty it is. What's the frames? Ooh, it's nice and good. Yeah, this is the best this game has ever looked. It's very yellow. And it's having like an error, maybe. Yes, quit this game and we will run it more. But first, I will watch something. Oh, good, we captured. So I will take me to a save point so we don't get killed for no reason here. I mean, I don't really think we will. I'll just go to the small. It doesn't matter. And move forward. And we pull back. Yep. Made more money there. I'm going to be a faction warfare god. I think I'm going to keep clearing for years, and they're going to be like, that guy's got fucking 5,000 sites cleared or something. He's a goddamn field marshal. Mmm. Kitty, I'm eating. I don't want you right now. He's like, oh, rejection hurts my feelings. Kitty, I'm eating. I don't want you right now. Oh my god. Alright, you can sit on my lap if you want, but I'm not moving the keyboard. Or whatever. Yes, I will here. I'll move the keyboard there. Stupid, stubborn, obstinate kitty. I know this is about food. You can't fool me. There is a catalyst. No, sorry. No, I'm sorry. No, no. Sorry.
Just fascinating. Flavio asked Lucas to help him buy a gun so he could protect himself and his family from Lucas. But Flavio continued. He said Lucas even helped him pay for the gun. He paid $700. He pitched it in. Lucas said, no, I didn't. Everybody knows I'm broke. I don't have $700. And then out of nowhere during this interrogation, if you can even call it that, Flavio admits to shooting Anderson. Even Lucas looks at him in shock. And I don't know if it's shock because he just found out, or if it's shock from the fact that, like, dude, why would you admit that right now? I don't know.
Like, what did he say?
He's like, I shot Anderson. And the police are like, why did you shoot Anderson? Flavio went on to explain how Anderson was essaying not only his sisters, but his nieces. So Simone, his biological sister, his, like, blood sister, has a bunch of kids. And now he's claiming that Anderson was even trying to assault his grandchildren, I guess. The family tree is very complicated. Both Lucas and Flavio were thrown into prison. Flavio would later say, wait, I take it all back. I was coerced by the police to say that. But the damage was done. Investigators were going to investigate the claims and relationships between all the family members until this, like, house of cards basically crumbled. There were so many kids in the house that all had motive to either kill Anderson or help Lucas and Flavio kill Anderson. A year before his murder, there was an inside joke between the adopted kids that you don't eat food at Flora's house. In 2018, Anderson went to the ER at least 6 times due to mysterious stomach problems. All 6+ times was immediately after drinking or eating something that had been made in Flora's kitchen, and it was a bit strange. He went from wearing pant sizes that were extra large to a medium within a few months. But some of the adopted children felt like something was off, so they started taking bites out
The sign of a king being poisoned.
of Anderson's food, and they too got very, very ill. And then Marcy, one of the adopted daughters, was caught in the act. She's the one that said Anderson deserved death. She was seen mixing white powder into Anderson's food. Now, Marcy had a lot of problems in the family. She had recently been caught stealing $1,000 from Anderson, and she was told if she ever did it again, she would be kicked out for good. So now police are thinking maybe she helped. Maybe she snapped and wanted Anderson gone so that she could steal more cash. Her search history had things like bad guys, assassins, where to find, someone badass, where to find killers. So was Marcy also involved? Then there's Daniel. So Daniel is the biological son of Flora and Anderson.
Oh my God.
Police found out early on in their investigation that he wasn't actually their biological son. So there's 2 problems with this revelation, okay, if you will. 1, Daniel didn't know for the longest time that he was not actually Flora's biological son. And 2, Daniel was kidnapped as a baby. The alleged story goes as follows. Flora and Anderson really wanted to have a biological kid together. They start trying to get pregnant, but it's not working out. And because timing is everything, one of their friends tell them about an 18-year-old girl who's going to give birth soon, and she's looking for someone to adopt her baby. Flora and Anderson rush to the hospital to be the first ones to take the baby from their mother, and the 18-year-old biological mom, she said, I don't have what it takes to raise this kid, but I still want to know this child. She said, I will only give you this baby if you promise that I can see this baby once in a while. They said, of course. They ripped Daniel from his mother's arms and then never saw her again. Went back on their promise. That baby is Daniel. So maybe Daniel found out that he was lied to and kidnapped, and maybe he snapped and helped kill Anderson. So the police are thinking Lucas and Flavia are definitely involved, but what if there's other kids involved? Then there was Simone, Flora's biological daughter, and the ex-girlfriend of Anderson. She's both Anderson's ex-girlfriend and his stepdaughter. She said this about Anderson. Even at a young age when we were dating, he was rude and arrogant. He was clingy and didn't want me to play with my classmates. He was always searching for me, coming to my house. He's just disturbed. Simone did not think highly of her ex-boyfriend/father. But the police were most intrigued by her Google searches. She had Googled how to buy cyanide, easy to buy lethal poison to kill people. And when the police asked her about it, she said, my friend's dog was sick, so the dog had cancer. We were trying to put the dog out of its misery.
So they're investigating every single kid.
Yeah.
Checking their search histories, and because it seems like a lot of people are not telling the truth.
It seems like out of the 55 people, we don't even know how many people are involved. So the question is, how many of the kids are involved? And question number 2 is, who put the kids up to it? Was it really just the kids acting on their own? Or could it be Mother Flora? Simone also told them that Anderson was essaying people, constantly telling the daughters that they had hot bodies. He would come into their rooms at night and pleasure himself in the dark while trying to touch them. It was a lot. It was a lot. The investigation into Anderson's murder would last 3 years and would involve police interrogating hundreds of people. And it would ultimately end in the arrest and sentencing of 11 different people. Wow. Most of them being Flower family members, if you will. Now, I don't want to get too into the legal nitty-gritty of the case, and I'm going to try to simplify the trial as best as possible so it's easy to follow, but there are so many moving parts, so many testimonies, so many changing of stories. Flora would argue that she's innocent. Her husband was killed. She had nothing to do with it, but now that you bring it up, her husband was an abusive husband who was probably essaying the daughters, so if someone killed him, it was probably because of his crimes to begin with. Then you had Flora's protector kids who said that Flora had nothing to do with this and they were the ones that plotted to kill Anderson all on their own to protect their mother. Then there are the kids who were arrested and they were now saying, hey, listen, Flora's the evil one. I don't even know what I'm doing in jail right now. So let's start with Flora. She was voted out of Congress before her arrest and she was pissed. She told her peers, you're going to put your head up your ass and you're going to regret condemning someone who hasn't been judged yet. Flora begged the public to see her innocence, and she said, for those who think I killed my husband, I'm asking you to give me a reason why I would do that. I didn't gain anything from his death. I only lost. And before the trial was in full swing, Flor still had a lot of supporters. Her Instagram comments were filled like, God will always be with her, and she won't ever stop giving a hand to those who need it, stuff like that. But once the trial started, public opinion started shifting. Many of Flor's adopted children started testifying against her, the ones that were not arrested for Anderson's murder. One adopted son stated that after Anderson's funeral, Flor was shouting, "I'm free!" Mizelle, one of the adopted kids, stated that for the past year, Flor had been complaining about Anderson and actively thinking about ways to get rid of him. And when he told her, "Mom, just divorce him," she said, "Absolutely not." They preached at church about the importance of a strong family unit and how sacred marriage is. They would be unthinkable. She responded that she could not scandalize the name of God like that. And when Flor even found out that Mizelle was talking to the police for this trial, one of
Mizelle is
the adopted son.
Oh, okay.
One of the biological children went up to him and said, "You know snitches die, right?" He said he was very scared for his life, and he has not been in contact with Mother Flor or the rest of the family since then. And if you feel like this is turning into a he said, she said situation, text messages were uncovered where Flor literally told Lucas, her adopted son that's in prison, "I will give you $2,000 after the job is done. You can pretend it's a robbery, but only Anderson can be targeted, nobody else." In another text message to a different adopted son, Flor said, "Let's put an end to this. Help me, I'm asking you. No, I'm begging you, Andre. How much longer do we have to put up with this scumbag in our lives?" Andre responded, "Mom, I got your back. There's not much I can do, but I'm on your side." She responded, "Yes, there is something you can do. It's simple. I'll explain it to you. Help me focus to end this once and for all. 1 week and we can put an end to this story." Later, Marcy, the adopted daughter who was trying to poison Anderson, allegedly, she would declare that she stole her mom's phone and sent those messages to her adopted brothers. Simone and Marcy, they really wanted to defend their mom. But another kid said, "Yeah, no, we're telling you, nothing happened in that house without Flor's permission." And it's not in the sense of, what if she intervened and prevented her kids from killing Anderson? No, because this isn't coming from Simone or Marcy. The number one person on Flor's mind is always Flor, without question. Flor argued, "I didn't know about any of this. I didn't know about the abuse going on in my home. I loved my husband too much. He was everything to me. He was my life. I had a suspicion once concerning our daughter Kelly, but I didn't want to believe that he was capable of that sort of thing. He abused me, yes, but I didn't want to believe that in my home he was doing the same thing to other women." Saying, if the kids killed Anderson because of the abuse, she didn't know about it. But in the end, Flor was found guilty of all charges. She was sentenced to 50 years in prison for first-degree murder. Flavio, the biological son who is believed to have committed the actual shooting, was sentenced to 33 years in prison. Simone, Flor's biological daughter and Anderson's ex-girlfriend, was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Lucas, the adopted son who dropped...
Who was that?
Simone, the ex-girlfriend of Anderson.
They think she is a part of it. That's why she got 30.
That she was like, conspiring with them to commit the murder. Now, Lucas, the adopted son who dropped off the backpack, presumably with the gun inside, the night of the murder, he cooperated with the police and got a lesser sentence of 7 years. Marcy and 2 of the other adopted kids, they were acquitted of all accusations. 4 other siblings were absolved of the murder charges, but they're still facing time for criminal conspiracy. And I think the saddest part, really any story that involves children typically, is that children are always the indirect or direct victims in those stories. Flor had over 50 children. And just to sum it up, because I think this case is so complicated, there's so many things, there's so many other little factors of why people really dislike or support Flor, which is interesting, and how they feel about Anderson. There was a netizen who wrote about this case, and I think this sums up the public opinion. So this is not my opinion, but the general public opinion. Although it wasn't definitively concluded that Anderson was capable of sexual abuse, it was confirmed that there was a huge divide in their family. There were favorites. If it's not sexual abuse, some sort of abuse from both Flor and Anderson. It's clear Flor had reason to kill her husband. It's also clear that she had most of her children under her thumb, whom she probably used to commit this horrible murder, then threw them under the bus when it was convenient for her. She also groomed Anderson probably since he was 14 years old, then married him. If she were a man, we'd all be calling her a predator. A lot of things can coexist all at once. So I think it's really complicated. I do think that Anderson's story gets lost along the way. also because of the allegations of abuse, which I'm not saying aren't true.
I love this kitty. I just like putting
I
hands
feel like
on
they're
her.
unsubstantiated right now, but I do think that there were a lot of bad, weird things going on in that house. And if Anderson wasn't the one committing abuse, he likely knew it was happening because there was some sort of abuse going on in that house, and it's very clear. But it's just very complicated. I think, though, the only thing...
I am playing Horizon Forbidden West, and I can't remember how you mount. Do you have to go get like a mount, or is it just like a WoW mount? Can you always summon it? It's been so long since I played it. Stupid pig ran. Ouch, kitty, your claws. You want me to cut them? Is that what you're saying? Please turn around. Oh. I want Sal for some fucking reason. I would actually much rather just... Well, let's float down there. Oh, let's see what happens. This was cool, though. Oh, this is running really well. I think I want to double check these settings real quick. Might be that. Maybe we do try the depth of field, huh? Just not the motion blur. Yeah, that was stuff that needed to happen. I love this game. I forgot how much I like this game. Fucking beautiful. I bought this game the day it came out. And after a while I was just like, it's kind of one and the same once you do it for a bit. But it's good to play once in a while. It's fun to play. Repair Bay Tau. Okay, so I'm gonna go north. I keep going south for some fucking reason. I keep turning south for whatever reason. I don't know. Go back. And go west this time. I don't know why you keep going south. Now it's raining. And it's nighttime. So... Can I ride one? I just saved, didn't I? Yeah, so I'll come down the road again, yeah. This game's got good stealth. Oh, I can ride a Bisabok, huh? Cool. Oh, good. Okay, so G dismount like melee. Oh, cool. Now I've got a mount. something killed me for no reason. Lame. Oh, I'm gonna go save after I get this mount. This game's fun. So, okay. Hi, beautiful kitty. This game looks so good. What? It like flew away, that fucking dick. Must be a new world. That looks so cool that the arrows sticking out of the side of it. Looks awesome. I think I screwed up. I love this fucking game. It's a raid, bitch. No. I love this game. It's such a cool little sandbox. Kind of expensive to fix him, but I don't think it matters. I don't think the money matters. I don't have like points to spend, do I? 37. Two, and not 37. Kitty. I just love her so much. She was sitting in my lap just purring for hours. Oh, she's just a sweet little kitty. She's found her place in life. I'm so jealous of her. I'm just kidding. I've got it too. Oh no, I guess they reset my skills when I like they've redone the chart, I guess. Yes, I want to go down the survival chart because I'm playing on hard. I want to be more careful about it. I've got 45 skills. And I'm out. That's a better spec. Recipe for drop shield. We'll look at those settings for... Captured. Hi, kitty. Yeah, you're a very special kitty. It's dinner time. You ready for dinner? Yeah, I think you are. You ready for dinner, kitty? Little dinner kitty.
We know is the children, since the very beginning, they were the ultimate victims in this case. In one interview, Fleur said, "If you ask me, Fleur, what do you love doing the most in the world? I will always answer, being a mother. Because by being a mother, you're receiving way more than you're giving." There are two ways you can interpret that statement. That could mean she feels so fulfilled by being a mom that she is receiving more emotional fulfillment in the process than giving. Or that she enjoys receiving so much love and attention and praise from these children. Is she altruistic or is she selfish? There was an incident before Fleur's arrest that I find telling. So Fleur had a new boyfriend before their arrest and trial, by the way. And before the arrest, because she knew she was getting arrested, she was spending time with her boyfriend at home, getting her hair and nails done.
Wait, this is after the husband died.
Yeah.
She got a new boyfriend.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was getting Botox injections. She was getting her hair and makeup done, and someone was blow drying her hair while she screamed, "I'm not a criminal. I didn't kill anyone." I don't know. It's just very telling that she's, yeah. And now in a Brazilian prison, there is a mother-daughter duo sharing a cell, Fleur and Simone. Both of them have been charged with the murder of the same man. Simone was found guilty of killing her ex-boyfriend, Anderson. Fleur was found guilty of killing her ex-husband, Anderson. Both women shared a lover once, and now they both share a prison cell.
Wow.
The only time they don't is when Fleur's new husband comes in for conjugal visits, because she married her boyfriend, Alan. We don't even know when they first started dating. That's another thing that people have suspicions about, because Fleur actually knew her new husband while she was still married to Anderson, and there's even a photo of the three of them together. So that could have added more motive for Fleur to want Anderson gone. To this day, Fleur maintains her innocence, and she said, "It's clear that they wanted to arrest me at any cost. They want to make me the mastermind of this murder. That's why I'm asking for help outside of Brazil. I'm begging for help." Fleur told a journalist she wanted help from an American TV show called Deadly Recall. It's a true crime show hosted by a celebrity detective, and she told the journalist, "This is who I want to help me. I found him on the Discovery Channel." Most people think Fleur's mom predicted Fleur's dad's death in the car accident. And now Fleur has predicted her husband's death, but in a murder.
How did she predict?
Because if it's murder, you know it's coming.
Oh, I see.
That was the very intense case of Fleur. There's a lot of other things that it's so complicated that there's so many other statements, so many other little things that Fleur would have said, but let me know your thoughts. What are your thoughts on this one? Do you think that all of the kids were involved? Were they manipulated by Fleur? You really think Fleur had no idea that any of this was going on?
I think it's so crazy that she was able to fool everyone, the whole country, for that long.
Yeah.
That brought her to that level of admiration from the whole country. And then they eventually all crumbled down, right? But that's insane, the amount, the success that she achieved for that long.
Terrifying.
Nobody knew until now.
People loved her. I mean, she had some of the biggest celebrities, politicians. She met the first wife of Brazil, and they were friendly with each other. Judges supported her. Everybody supported her.
Yeah.
Nobody saw a thing. Nobody suspected a thing.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show that children really are just unheard and uncared for in even America. So it's not trying to point fingers at any other country, but just generally in the world. So leave your thoughts in the comments, and please stay safe. I will see you guys on Wednesday for the mayors.
You didn't want a kitty? Palm Beach Pete. No, it's just conspiracy theory, right? Wow.
Bada bing, bada boo.
James was going to take his wife to the best hotel in the city, Marina Bay Sands in Singapore. It's the 3 buildings and what looks like a spacecraft sitting on top of the 3 buildings.
Yes.
The top is actually the largest infinity pool in the entire world. It is like the equivalent of being in a pool on the 100th floor, about 1,100 feet up in the sky. It's a 5-star hotel that a lot of couples in Singapore, they'll even do staycations there. Because truly, like, what is more romantic than taking a swim overlooking the entire city? And it's not cheap. The most affordable room starts at around $500 a night. You can also book a lover's suite. That's gonna cost you around like $1,500 per night. This is a luxury resort. But James, he said no expenses are going to be spared. He just really wanted to splurge on his wife, Jennifer. They were going through the thick of life. They're raising 4 daughters together. I mean, nothing in life at this point seemed easy anymore. Everything about being a parent was just exhausting. And both of them deserve some rest. So they spent all day just lounging in hotel robes, going to the spa, ordering room service. By the end of the night, Jennifer excused herself to the restroom to go take a shower. James is waiting in the hotel room, waiting for the water to turn on, waiting to hear the sound of his wife open and close the shower door behind her. And then he pounced. He pounced on her phone. This was the whole purpose of the trip. James wanted to see what was in that damn phone. He went through her messages. He went through all of her messaging apps, WhatsApp, all of that. And then finally, he clicked on Facebook Messenger. He starts speed scrolling through her messages. He knows exactly what he's looking for in here. He had a sneaking suspicion this whole time. And there it was. Messages between James's friend, Owen, and his wife, Jennifer. So he starts scrolling to see what they're talking about. And it was bad. Jennifer, the wife, is telling Owen that they were at the Marina Bay Sands resort. And Owen is kind of teasingly asking her, oh, are you going to wear a bikini? Are you going to swim at the pool? Okay, you know, it's bad, but maybe it's explainable. James keeps scrolling. There were messages James found where Jennifer, his wife, is telling Owen all these intimate details about her marriage with James. She said that whenever James asks her to sleep with him, she doesn't even know how to respond. She doesn't even want to respond. He just isn't doing it for her anymore. If she felt obligated to sleep with him, she would just close her eyes and imagine that it was Owen instead.
Oh my gosh.
James had confirmation that his wife was cheating on him with his friend. James said that he just felt this like strong sense of betrayal.
I'm so sorry. Owen is his friend?
Owen is James's friend. But he didn't even feel the betrayal coming from his wife. He felt it coming from Owen. They had a deal. Owen wasn't supposed to flirt with James's wife. He was only supposed to R-word her. How can it be R-word when they're both choosing to sleep with each other, when they're both choosing to have an affair? That wasn't part of the plan. James decided that day to take matters into his own hands. So on his 3-year anniversary with his wife, he would drug her, invite Owen over, and watch as Owen assaulted her unconscious body. He would end up liking this experience so much that for the next 8 years, he would find like-minded husbands on online forums, and they would drug and assault each other's wives, all the while recording it for their own sick pleasure. We would like to thank today's sponsors who have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support the National Network to End Domestic Violence. They are a nonprofit that focuses on creating a social, political, and economic environment in which partner-related, workplace, and stalking violence no longer exist. They also provide legal resources that are very easy to read in simple words and provide survivors with how to get a restraining order and so much more. I'm going to leave all the links in the description. But this episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's growing team of dedicated researchers and translators that work from all around the world. And we would also like to thank you for your continued support as we work on our mission to be worthy advocates of these causes. As always, full show notes are available at rottenmangopodcast.com. This case does involve heavy conversations of SA, so if you're not in the headspace for that, or if you feel like, okay, maybe this is too much, take it easy, go watch a funny show, relax, and just remember to take care of yourself. We will see you in the next one. With that being said, this case does take place in Singapore, and due to their intense privacy laws, all parties involved in today's case cannot be named, not even the perpetrators, due to gag orders imposed by the court. In most online articles, all the perpetrators are given a single letter alias, so J, K, L, MNOP. And in court documents, they were referred to as CEG, CEK, CEL, and so on and so forth, which would just make it so incredibly hard to follow for this episode. So I'm gonna give everyone involved a nickname with their court-designated letter to make it easier to follow. And for clarity, the nicknames of the wives of the perpetrators are gonna start with the same letter. So for example, James is Jay, and his wife will be called Jennifer in this episode. Kevin, his wife will be called Kathy in this episode, and so on and so forth. And so one last disclaimer before we get started. Like I said, this case takes place in Singapore, and this is not, I mean, I don't think I need to say this, but this is not a representation or even a judgment of Singapore or Singaporeans. Evil people literally exist everywhere, and it's not like they exclusively stay in a single country. In fact, Singapore has one of the lowest crime rates in the whole world. So just keep that in mind. And as always with foreign cases, if there's anything more that you'd like us to know about the case or something that's been miscommunicated, please leave it in the comments. Now, let's get started. James was a former safety officer who is now trying to make a name for himself live streaming. He had set up all the cameras and he was researching up the mics. He didn't set up the mics yet because they're a bit trickier. He needed to think a little bit more about where am I going to put it? Where's the best placement for the mics to pick up all the good sounds? But at least the cameras were up. So he starts live streaming straight away. He's texting all of his friends a link to his live stream and he's asking if they could kindly come and support him. Almost every single one of his friends showed up to every single live stream in the beginning. Even though there were no mics set up, they couldn't hear a single thing that James was doing or saying. Nothing, just video, no audio. They showed up to give their unwavering support and encouragement. They were James's brothers, you know? After his lengthy live streams that usually happened in the middle of the night, his friends would stay up even if they had work the next day just to watch, just to support. Afterwards, his friends would flood the group chat with, "Nice show. That was very well done. You thought of every detail. We loved it. You keep getting better and better at this. Keep it up." James is getting off on this praise. He would smile, dim the lights on his phone so that his sleeping wife wouldn't see what he's doing, and he would rewatch his own live stream. The one where he was engaging in intimate relations with his wife. His wife was completely unaware that there were hidden cameras installed in the corner of their bedroom ceilings, live streaming everything to James's closest friends. His family friends, his best friends, and all of his little online buddies that he met on Sammy Boy. Have you heard of Sammy Boy?
No.
So the forum Sammy Boy has two worlds. You've got Sammy Boy Alfresco Coffee Forum and then the Asian Values Forum. So the Sammy Boy Alfresco Coffee Forum is not about coffee.
What Sammy Boy is a...
It's like a website. It's like Reddit, right? Reddit.com, SammyBoy.com. But there's two sides of Sammy Boy. So imagine if there's like the regular side of Reddit and then the dark side of Reddit. I mean, you could argue that is how Reddit operates. But Sammy Boy is pretty distinct in how different it is. So the light side of Sammy Boy is called Sammy Boy's Alfresco Coffee Forum. And contrary to the name, it's not about coffee. I mean, this part of Sammy Boy really does kind of feel like Reddit. A little bit. I mean, it's much less moderated than the big subs on Reddit, but to just give you a general idea, the top threads of the day on this part are usually linked to current events, current news, religion, immigration, conversations about international news, what's going on with the local government in Singapore. People go on there to talk about just all sorts of random things. They go there to get opinions, to ask questions, to analyze everything that's happening in the news cycle. That's the lighter side of Sammy Boy. The dark side of Sammy Boy is called the Asian Values Forum. What a name. So that side of Sammy Boy is infamous, and it's frequently in mainstream media news cycles for having explicit materials, trafficking, illegal hidden spy cam footage, and illegal upskirt photos being uploaded onto that forum. Now, side note, if you go to Sammy Boy's FAQ page where they have, all the frequently asked questions, they named the explicit side of their forum Asian Values because originally it was called the commercial scene in Singapore, but a lot of people complained that they couldn't look at it while they were at work because of the URL domain. Their bosses would pick up on it.
Oh, so they're not hiding this information? Like this is
No.
like publicly like, hey, come to my site for these type of content.
You don't understand how many hours me and a few of the other members on the RM team have been on SammyBoy.com basically the past,
So it is a very like questionable forum.
Very questionable. I will say it doesn't even compare to Reddit in how questionable it is. I know that Reddit has kind of a sour history where a lot of dark things have happened through Reddit, but Sammy Boy is like unregulated town. I would maybe consider it more on par with 4chan is the vibe.
You know what I hear when I hear Sammy? I think CSAM, which is child sex assault material. And they can't say that, so they say Sam, like Sammy, like sexual assault material, and they say, Sammy, are you a Sammy? And it's like, no. Ugh. Disgusting.
Yeah.
Fucking
It's
disgusting
really
as
intense.
human beings.
Now, a lot of people complained when it was called the commercial X scene in Singapore. They couldn't look at it at work because their bosses would get a list of all the URL domains that they would access while they were at work. And that's very obvious that it's a nasty website. That's why they changed it to Asian Values Forum, which is considerate, I guess. So the forum was started as a Yelp page for sex work. Now, to give you some more context, sex work is legal in Singapore, but it is highly, highly, highly regulated. There's only one single legal red light district in Singapore. There are more than like 100 brothels in there, but they're heavily monitored by a division in the Singapore police force. Each brothel has to be properly licensed, and it's estimated to cost about $1 million to even set up a brothel. The law dictates that each brothel has to organize regular medical checkups for the workers. All the workers themselves have to be licensed and come from one of the 5 following countries: China, Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, and Singapore. All of them need to be medically registered in Singapore. So it started as a place to review different brothels and different happy ending massage therapy places. It's like Yelp for the red light district. That's why it started, the forum. And while some of that still exists, it's kind of branched off into this general conversations about anything explicit. It's just dumped onto Sammy Boy. There are threads for explicit fantasy stories, threads for conversations about special interest, kinks, right? And it's just a general place for people to gather and talk about very explicit things. But there is barely any moderation. I mean, it's kind of weird. It seems like they take moderation seriously when it comes to things like shit posting. That's what they call it, where you just like mass post the same thing on different threads, but not much moderation in the sense of posting questionable, if not illegal content. Sammy Boy themselves wrote on their website, "Juvenile crap will be deleted. This forum is not for pimple-faced teenagers to discuss their first wet dream or to ask about where the girl's body parts are located. If you want to learn about the basics of adult activity, ask your teacher or your dad. Sammy's forums are designed for experienced fornicators."
Wow.
You can even pay a premium monthly membership, which is about $18 a month, and that comes with a promise that the content that you post will not be moderated at all. So it's kind of turned into this breeding ground for questionable activity. The header of the premium membership says, "Please note, this forum is full of homophobes, racists, lunatics, schizophrenics, and absolute nut jobs. If you believe that content generated by..."
Please note that this forum is full of homophobes, racists, lunatics, schizophrenics, and absolute nut jobs with a smattering of geniuses.
Unsavory characters might cause you offense, please leave now. Sammy Boy admin and staff are not responsible for your hurt feelings should you choose to read any of the content here. To give you even more context on what kind of threads can be found on there, many threads are some sort of variation of "come share your wife pic." Yeah, which is done with or without the wife's consent, and usually we're talking about explicit photos. We're not talking about profile pictures. Another one is called "upskirting my employer." Both are explicit threads, and the upskirting employer thread is just, I mean, it's really illegal. It's exactly what it sounds. It's for people who want to post illegally taken upskirt photos of female colleagues in the workplace. Which, I mean, we've heard of this happening in subways or very busy areas where people feel like they can just take upskirt photos of strangers. But to take illegal upskirt photos of your colleagues that you're interacting with on a professional level on a daily basis, it's like a notch above on the scale of messed up and illegal. There's explicit revenge videos posted on Sammy Boy. Pictures and videos of girlfriends and wives being shared without their knowledge nor their consent. And you would think that most people would be so...
Look at this. Fortnite is such an interesting thing. Right now, No Build is getting 276,000, and original OG with those crappy walls that they had is pulling 31K. And I ended up like picking the mode that I knew was way better. Been meaning to play Fortnite Festival, but I haven't.
Turned off by this. I was getting freaked out on there. I genuinely felt like the FBI was going to knock on my door because I don't know why so much of the threads just felt so illegal. I'm like, how am I accessing this website?
This sounds super illegal.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how any of them are not being investigated
persecuted
for
by police,
the things that they're doing, you know?
A lot of people were arrested because of Sammy Boy.
Right, yeah.
And this is probably one of the biggest ones, but it's still operating like very similarly to what it was before. It's just crazy. I mean, you would think that most people would be turned off by something that's so blatantly illegal and immoral. But one college student from Singapore, who is an active user of Sammy Boy, he said, you know, I actually go to Sammy Boy for the non-consensual content. He said it was so much better than the conventional X-rated websites because in those videos, he's like, you know, there's like a whole production team. There's paid actors. They're not really having fun. They're not really like enjoying the activity. Whereas the content on Sammy Boy, it's so much more authentic. He said he was addicted. He said the only way he would stop consuming this illegal content is probably the day he dies. He said sometimes if he sits there for too long and thinks about it, he kind of feels a little guilty for enjoying such content. But then he thinks, you know what? No matter what, someone's gonna post this content. And just because I stop watching doesn't mean people will stop posting. So if the content is out there and I watch it and I don't watch it, like what difference does it make? He said, I know it's wrong, but what can they do to me? He said technically he's just streaming explicit videos, which is legal. The people that should be in trouble are the ones uploading and downloading the content. And a few did get in trouble. There was this fantasy story writer on Sammy Boy who was jailed for uploading hidden camera footage to accompany his stories. So he would write these really intense, vulgar, X-rated stories, like fantasies. They're fake, fictitious stories. But then he would throw in real-life hidden camera footage pictures to accompany the stories at the right parts where he felt like, ooh, this matches the scene. But the worst part of all of this is the explicit photos that he used were all women that he personally knew. He went into his mother-in-law's house and installed secret cameras into her bathroom. He took photos and videos of his sister-in-law showering, uploaded them to Sammy Boy. He's a church guy. He went to all of his church friends' houses and installed hidden cameras into one of his church friends' homes, watched her shower, uploaded it to Sammy Boy. He was finally caught, but there's more. There's so many incidents like this.
Do we know what his sentence was?
A few years. And I mean, this forum just gives very, 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 very strong bro energy. And I'm not just saying that. A lot of the commentators on there actually call each other SBF bro, which means Sammy Boy Forum bro. There's a whole Sammy Boy dictionary that you can go to, which has shorthand abbreviated terms, and a lot of them deal with women's bodies and actions. Tarma means when there's 3 parties involved in explicit activities. There's a word for a regular-looking average girl. There's another word for a hot girl, a hot female, that's what they call it. Thailand is abbreviated into LOS, the land of smiles. And I'm sure that they're not referring to the TripAdvisor recommended activities to do in Thailand. I'm sure they're hinting at the industry in Thailand. Then you have papaya farm, which means whorehouse. PCN means lousy service. And you know what kind of service I'm talking about. There's OMFIAMP, which I felt like was unnecessarily long, but it stands for one man's food is another man's poison, which is typically used to describe women that you think are ugly, but other people think are pretty. And there's EMA. This is a very commonly used term on Sammy Boy, and it stands for extramarital affairs. There was a post made on Sammy Boy about a woman who found out that her husband was cheating on her through his Sammy Boy account. He was using the forum to look for happy ending massage parlors that give extra services. Her husband was